Wait, none of these cards.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very exciting Gwentlemen talk show. Because what was going to be quite a quiet week, it turns out, is the week of the leaks. Swim is not here this week, but I do have the lovely Dale, as always. How are you doing, Dale?
I'm doing fantastic, and yeah, well, it was ready to just kind of sleep this talk show off, and it's like, oh, wait a second, there's something going down.
Yep, and instead of Swim, we have the lovely impetuous Panda.
Yeah, it's great to be here again. I think rarely have I had a chance to be here 2 times in a row, so definitely grateful for that. It's going to be a fun night, I think.
And we have our lovely guest, Mithranor. What's up, Mithranor?
What's up, everyone? Hey, chat.
We seem to have all disappeared.
Yeah,
It's a super secret talk show this time around.
I'm hearing an echo. Is that just me? Have I left the stream open somewhere?
no,
I'm
hearing
also
that
hearing
too.
an echo.
Yep.
You're having slight technical issues.
Just slight. Well, for anyone who's unaware, we do have a little bit of a conflict, so we have a different hosting setup this time around. Please bear with us for any technical difficulties that arrive for that one. We do apologize.
But yeah, we'll work through these before we get started on talking about new cards, because that's quite exciting. But we should also talk about Mithranor, which we will do in just a tick. Like, I feel like it's like an audio-only talk show.
I mean, I'd be down with an audio-only talk show, and I just love like hearing myself every now and then too. It's nice. But I think, did it get fixed already? Oh no, it didn't get fixed already. Okay.
No, never mind.
Hope's going up, but
sounds like
nope.
sound going through speakers and back through the mic.
Do you ever get that thing where you hear your own voice and you think you sound really weird?
I get that a lot.
Yeah. We're on the case, though, guys. Please bear with us.
I like how chat's like, why are you streaming during the dev stream? It's like, all shall be revealed. Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Are we still echoing?
Hey, there we go. Yeah,
we are still echoing a little bit.
We're still echoing. Little by little. We'll get
sounds
there.
like a speaker.
Somebody's using speakers, that's what it is.
Not me.
Maybe if Insangpa's using speakers, then his mic is picking that up. But then,
yeah,
unless he has to just mute his mic. Are we good?
Yeah. Maybe it's just someone has like the stream, like Insangpa has like the stream up.
I think he does because he's lighting up on our call.
Mm-hmm. It's good we started earlier today to just get.
Yeah, unfortunately,
perfect timing.
Our usual cam dude was busy, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. Don't worry. Don't worry. And we got so many leaks to talk about. I'm really excited.
A lot of leaks.
We're ghosts again. We're back. Maybe.
We'll take it from the top as soon as everything's going. I can just do the intro again. We'll pretend like nothing happened. Oh, I don't think we're echoing anymore. This is exciting.
All right, guys, welcome.
Let's start again. Go, Jaggers.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Gwentlemen Talkshow, hosted by myself and Dale. And Swim isn't here, but we have a Panda instead. How's it going, Panda?
It's going pretty good. Great to be here another week, and happy to talk to Myth and see what he has to say about these new leaks.
And what up, Dale?
Lots up, because we do have a lot to talk about with all these new leaks. And for anyone who needs to check it out, I know Jaggers is just you spamming the chat, but ! leaks will give you that link to it. But it's going to be a lot to talk about.
And finally, we have our very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend,
I feel like
The
you should have just
lovely
left it there.
Mithranor.
It's like the man,
The man, the myth.
Original.
Yeah, just
Yeah. What's
it's
up,
okay.
everyone? Hey,
You can make a moves like Jagger joke in like
a
couple minutes, and
I'll
then you'll get me back.
refrain from that.
So, Mithranor, maybe before we dive into this kind of pool of leaks,
Mhm.
it's like the new thing for Gwent Slam. They had a pool of balls. We're gonna have a pool of leaks. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into Gwent, and that sort of thing.
So I got into Gwent last year. I started streaming. I streamed a Witcher 3, and I really liked Gwent in the game. And one of my friends told me about the Gwent beta. It was still closed beta, and it was still invite only at the time. And so he was telling me about it and how he had applied and was waiting to get in. And I was like, well, shit, how do I get in? So I applied for the invite. And then I didn't get it for like 2 months, and then I got in February with the Nilfgaard update, when a lot of people got in, and started playing then, and pretty much kept going since then. So yeah, been here for nine months now, pretty much.
And were you streaming before that, or did like Gwent get into streaming?
No. I started with Witcher 3. Like I was finishing up my degree, and like it was like I don't have much schoolwork to do, and I don't really have much job to do. So I was like, I'm just gonna try this streaming thing, and then went into Gwent and things started working out. So just kept going.
Nice. So, you guys have anything else to ask Mithranor before we start talking more about Gwent?
It's interesting because a lot of people got in around the same time as you. I also started playing around the Nilfgaard patch a bit before that. So it's like a lot of people I've talked to have gotten like the same like January, February like month span. I mean, obviously there's a lot of veterans that used to play like back in when it first came out, September, October. But a lot of people I've talked to have played at the same time as you, pretty much.
Does this mean you never knew a world where Nilfgaard didn't exist?
Yeah, I never played without Nilfgaard, which is kind of weird because I know it was a huge release at the time, and then like I found out later that before the Nilfgaard patch, they flew some people over to cdpr to test it out, and all that good stuff that we get now with the leaks and things like that. And when I jumped in, it was just hey, there's Nilfgaard, that's kind of cool, and they weren't very good, but yeah, no Gwent without 5 factions for me.
That's so strange because I started playing in January. So for me, I experienced like no Nilfgaard, and now we have the spies kind of ruling the meta, and it's not so fun. It's not so fun. But I mean,
does that make me like? How did I become the old school Gwent player here?
Because Swim's
when
not
did you
here.
start?
Because November 15th of last year.
You're an old man in terms
Yeah,
of
apparently.
We're just like teenagers.
Like,
and then...
I remember back when we didn't have patches. Like,
It's all good. It's all good. So we do have leaks to talk about, but I'm wondering if we should wait and continue just talking about the meta
I think
until
we probably
after,
should wait.
or if we should get started. Okay, so let's talk Gwent Slam. We can start with Gwent Slam. That's happening this weekend, and we have the brackets released. So I believe the first match is Shaggy versus
Tailbot.
There you go. See, so well, I guess we'll talk about that match a little bit. So Tailbot, he's just come out second place on Gwent Open, but Shaggy is a previous winner of the first Gwent Open. So do we think that the defending winner is going to win, or do you think Tailbot is going to start to climb back up and take revenge for his second place?
I don't know.
I think
Someone in
Tailbot...
my chat the other day made fun of Tailbot's MMR, so I think he's destined to lose now. I came up against him in pro ladder match, and they're like, "Lol, this guy's MMR," and I'm like, "Dude, that's Tailbot. Like, what are you talking about?"
I think I remember watching your stream at that point where it's funny because you guys get to a point, especially when it comes to tournaments, that they are. I mean, I've talked about it before, but tournament play is removed from regular ladder. It's removed from pro ladder. It is its own thing. And I think we're starting to, now that we're developing this tournament scene more, especially with all these Gwent Slams, Gwent Opens, everything that's been going on, I think we'll start to see these where it's players that don't do anything but play tournaments, and they can consistently perform at that level. But you're going to get these people that are just like, this guy's only has like 2,000 MMR, and it's like, no, he's a he's a pro player, guys. Just chill.
Yeah. He has 2,000 mark. He hasn't played ranked in 2 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the
Amazing.
pro players just don't even care about ranked until the end of the season. So MMR in that state isn't really something you look at. Like, you want to be looking at those Gwent Masters rankings to get a flavor of how people do. But some people don't do as well at tournaments. We also have an Adzakov versus Yuha matchup. That's actually the third game of the day. And Adzakov, he's known for being really good on the pro ladder, but he keeps getting knocked out in the first round of tournaments. So do we think he's going to make it to round 2 this time?
I mean, he gets knocked out in game 5s against like a really good player. So I think it's always been really close, even though when he's lost as well. And I think he's a really good player. So I think this time might be his lucky break. I think Dyuha is a strong player, but not as strong as Freddy, I think, or Game King, or some of the more well-known players. So I think it's his best chance. So hopefully, I think he could finally make it through.
Yeah, I feel like it's those guys who get knocked out in game 5 that you just have to worry about, because as soon as this just like you see a matchup and like they'll either finally get that final win or they'll just go 3-0, and it's like that's their tournament. Like, as soon as they can get past that stepping stone, it's just like, nope, I'm going all the way. So I am really looking forward to that first matchup. But I think so. If you're consistently getting to the point where it's just one winner, one loss, then you're where you need to be in order to be able to take the entire thing.
But how much do you think? Oh, it's okay. Continue.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, how much do you think with the scores like 3-2 versus 3-1 is also down to a little bit of RNG? Because we've seen situations where games, if someone had drawn one card, they would have won, but they drew a different card, so they lost. In terms of, say, running an agitator, for example, like there have been situations where it kind of comes down a little bit to chance. So how reliable do you think 3-0, 3-1, 3-2? How reliable is that as an indicator of player skill?
Yeah, I was actually going to say pretty much the exact same thing. Like, especially in those 3-2 matchups, it's like if like one thing had gone a little bit different in some of them, like just maybe a little bit different RNG in some cases, or just a tiny bit different play, it might have gone the other way. So you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the Freddy versus Adzakov matchup in Gwent Open had like a Monster Nest top deck that he needed that to win the game, and he eventually got it. So there's always like that top deck scenario, obviously much less than other card games because there's a lot less RNG in Gwent and you control it and keep it pretty consistent. But there is always that 1%. I think a really old game with Shaggy against someone in the first Gwent Open, he drew like a Merc into like a Thunderbolt Potion of 1. So I mean, there's always a lot of luck involved, but in general, I think not too much.
That's true. And in fairness, with the prizing in Gwent tournaments, it does account for that. Like, if you score but don't win, then you get a proportion. So if you 3-0 someone, you get the whole prize pool for that round. But if someone goes 3-1, they get a quarter. If someone goes 3-2, they get 2/5. So it's designed that even if you happen to maybe lose to RNG, it still provides you with financial earnings that you can continue to make it as a career. Because this is pro players, they are professional players. Like, this can be a job.
Yeah, I think it's something that people perhaps underestimate sometimes. Going back to the Dyuha argument, where if you're consistently making it to tournaments, you are a good player. Like, there's nobody in Gwent Slam or any tournament that, if you're in the top 8, that is a very select group of people. So it's one thing that I do applaud Gwent with doing, is allowing these people to try and make a living where even if you do get knocked out round 1, you're going up against somebody else who is, like, at a minimum, one of the top 4 people in that tournament. That is just an incredibly small number. And the fact that you're able to still possibly make a living off it, at least coming back with some winnings, is really cool and something that I wish that more tournaments did.
I think there's not that many esports that have that, where like you can just go to an event and compete and still have like a guaranteed, it pays back. Not in Gwent, because in Gwent obviously CD Projekt Red pays for most of the flights and stuff for the official tournaments, but other esports are just like your organization has to pay for the flight, the hotel, etc. And if you don't win anything, it's kind of like, well, what are we doing here? But the fact that you get like that guaranteed money for going and performing, and obviously if you win a few games, you get even more than that. So I think it's a really stable scenario for Gwent, and it makes it so that a lot of pro players can stay competing at a high level, even if they don't win tournaments.
So do you feel like this would maybe incentivize organizations to? Do you think this would incentivize organizations to come into Gwent? Because at the moment the only orgs that we're really seeing in terms of outside organizations are is complexity. I mean, we have Gwentlemen, we have Red Coin, we have Blue Coin, we have Aretusa, but these are all kind of made within Gwent.
We have F2K.
And F2K as well, yeah, of course. And those are like really the only big, well-known esports organizations outside of, like you said, like Gwent formed ones. I think it's just a matter of time, really. Like Gwent is still growing. It's still, it's the meme by now. It's still in beta though, so I mean, it's kind of like people are like laughing about that because it's been out for so long, but it still hasn't like officially come out. And I think next year is going to be a lot of updates, and we saw a lot of leaks, a lot of cards coming in. I think we can expect a lot more of that, and once that happens, and once tournaments get bigger and the game gets bigger, everything else will grow with it. So I think it's just a matter of time, really.
And we do have Evil Geniuses as well, because Life Coach is part of their organization. Even though he's usually hosting the tournaments instead of competing in them, it's the organization is still very much involved. So there's that too.
He is taking part in the Gwent Challenger that takes place in December. But going back to Gwent Slam, we also have Freddy Babes versus... I have to think. My brain is just not working today. Freddy Babes versus Sloth, EI Sloth. And Sloth took part in Gwent Open number 1. Freddy Babes is just off a win of Gwent Open number 2, along with, I believe he's won Gwent Slam number 1. So he's got quite a track record at these events. So how are we feeling in the Sloth versus Freddy matchup?
I mean, if Freddy decides to bring, Commander's Horn in his Northern Realms deck and doesn't bring Lambert, maybe he has a chance. But to be honest, I think Sloth is a really good player. He made really good decks like 3 patches ago when he was really more relevant, I guess, just before the qualification into the first Gwent Open. And I thought he really made really good decks and was a really good player in general, so I'm happy to see him back at tournaments. I think it's going to be really close, to be honest. I think Freddy's a great player. Obviously, he's proven it. And the Ice Law still has a lot to prove, so it's going to be really close. Probably the best match of the quarterfinals, I think.
I think that's probably the one that most people are having a hard time calling. I mean, here at Gwentlemen, I feel like we have to cheer for Freddy. He's a Gwentlemen member as well. And, he's also a really lovely guy. I've never really spoken to Sloth. So, I mean, I'm sure Sloth is probably also lovely, but having never spoken to him, I can't confirm his loveliness,
I mean, hashtag sloths for sloth just doesn't sound as good.
Oh yeah, sloths for sloths, maybe not as good as babes for babes. I think there's also far fewer sloths that like Gwent than there are maybe babes that like Gwent.
I don't know. There's quite a few. I figure my opponents have to be at some point if I'm just getting roped that hard sometimes.
He is fan favorite though. I think between. Maybe it's a bit of a toss-up between Game King and Freddy as to who I would say most people are supporting. Like, if you had to pick who is the most popular in a fan vote, who's it going to be?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Super JJ, because obviously he has a backing from, Hearthstone and other esports, and he's, very well known already within, the esports scene. But from people that really just, came up from Gwent, I think both Freddy and Game King, because they've had a lot of success, and they've also been at pretty much every tournament. I mean, they haven't missed many tournaments, so they have a bigger chance to get to more audience. So, and they're very likable guys as well. They're very, nice guys for sure. So I think it's really close between them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, in Freddy, whenever he streams, he's got a pretty big following with that too. So, it kind of shows there. I don't know if
speaking of streamers, there's also Petrify, who's going this time around.
Petrify's very polarizing, though. So
he's the final matchup between him and Game King.
I can only hope that Petrify's luck is leaving him behind on the plane, because I don't know if anybody's been following his trip thus far, but apparently it's going as expected for Petrify.
Yeah.
Yeah, he apparently had really bad turbulence, and the tweet said the guy in front of him literally pooed himself. I'm not entirely sure if he's using literally to mean figuratively, which people do, or if someone pooed themselves on a flight. I mean, it could happen. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I'm hoping that it didn't happen. For everyone else on that flight's sake, I feel that would just not good.
But for as far as Petrify in Gwent Slam, I honestly think it's, if we want to talk about RNG in Gwent, if we want to talk about a solid player, he's somebody who I think this is his first tournament appearance. And if you haven't seen him before, it's because he just didn't qualify because the coin flip, like 100%. But it's he's a really solid player. He's somebody that I've been watching for some time, and it's as much as I hate to say it, I think it's really going to depend on just what lineup he brings and how much of that relies on him drawing the cards that he needs, because he has just historic luck. Like, I will look back and be like, yeah, that could not have happened to anybody but Petrify.
On the flip side, though, if he gets really good luck and Game King gets really bad luck, maybe it's like he's got all of his luck at LAN, and that it's just online where the world hates him, apparently.
Maybe it's just Australia. Like, when he comes to the the correct side of the world, it'll right itself. The luck will
the coin
flip
flips.
with him, Yeah.
So if he's in the correct hemisphere, then everything will be fine.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Until then, I mean, in fairness to Petrify, I don't think he's really attempted to qualify for previous Gwent slams because he wouldn't have been able to travel because the qualifiers were so soon, so close to the event that if you're traveling across the world from Australia, then it's kind of expensive. I mean, you guys have looked at flights to Australia from Europe, for example. It's crazy. So the question then is, do you think that he is, skilled enough to compete with these players, or do you think that, and that it was just location that was the problem, or do you think, do you think that like where does he stand in terms of skill, basically, because he's one of the unknowns, I guess?
I think he's definitely skilled enough. I mean, he's a very, very good player, and a lot of his play he does well, less so in the last couple weeks, but a lot of his play he's done on stream. So at the higher levels, people will snipe him more than others, just because they'll recognize his name and things like that. But he's historically still done well. And so then he started doing, with the delay and things like that. But he's a very solid player, and so it's definitely something to watch for in the Gwent Slam here.
Oh yeah,
I think he'll definitely compete. I mean, he got close in the first Gwent Open. There was like that old ladder like rank system qualification. That was kind of also not all the time. You had like 7 days to qualify, and it was like in August, and he got like top 12 or 11, I think. So I mean, he was really close there as well. Same with Shaggy. Shaggy ended up going to the qualifiers, of course, the wildcard qualifiers, and Base did as well. But Petrify, being in Australia, not really an option, flying to Germany just for the wildcard qualifier. So he was close, I think. Like you said before, Gwent Slam, he didn't really even try, I think, because of the cost and just the planning and stuff. So it's gonna be fun to see him finally in an event and try and back up, his reputation, kind of. It's gonna be really, really fun to see, I think.
Anyway, I think that kind of concludes the discussion on Gwent Slam, because everyone wants to talk about new cards. I mean, we've been sitting here patiently talking about Gwent Slam, but there is a huge 109, over 100 card, 110, 100 and something card patch coming. We've been used to these like 20 card kind of appetizers, so this is like the main course. And shout outs to cdpr, who just hosted us after revealing those cards. We do have a link in the chat, !leaks. So that will link to the Play Gwent website where the revealed cards are shown. Who's excited?
I am
very
100%.
excited.
Like,
Very excited.
I feel like CDPR was just listening to the community, and we've been talking about it before, where it's like, all right, cool. Like, as we keep getting more cards, like we get like 20 something cards, especially this last patch, we got like 20, 21 cards, and people were just complaining that it didn't shake up the meta enough, where it's just like, yeah, it's cards, but there's just overall it's not a huge percentage. And then CDPR is just like, fine, have 100. Like it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to be excited about, and we don't even have all of them revealed yet, but we can discuss the ones that we do. So do you think we just want to go from the top of this list, start with the neutrals?
Yeah, I think so. One thing to just note on this list is I think it's missing the Siri card that they showed during the reveal, so we'll have to talk about that, although it's not on the list. So start from the top.
I don't think they talked about her ability there either with that card.
No, but we can talk about her picture.
Yeah.
So we have Wyvern Scale Shield, special, item, neutral. Boost a unit by the initial power of a unit in your hand. So I guess that's like starting strength or base strength.
Yeah. When I read it first, I thought it would be interesting, like with like spell tell, but then I read the initial power bit. That makes it obviously not as good with protectors.
But
yeah, it was interesting. It also has a new tag for item, which we don't have right now. So, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna have planned for more tags and things like that. But it is something new to note. But yeah, it seems like an interesting card. Skellige could make good use of this for sure.
I like it with Siri Dash.
Yeah, that could work too.
I think with Siri Dash it's going to be pretty exciting because you boost the unit by the initial. Oh, it's initial power though. But then I guess base strength isn't the same, so it's still.
Oh yeah, it's initial power.
10.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So Geralt's gonna make a comeback now, right?
It's secretly a reveal Nilfgaard's card.
Yeah, they've kind of balanced it in and of itself, right? Because it's initial power, it can never be that crazy unless they release like a 30-point base power unit that does something.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Initial power. Yeah.
It'll be interesting because it'll be interesting to see, like, especially with the other cards, we're gonna need to see something with a really high initial base power in order for this to really take off, I think, because you're giving up a potential body for a special card that you like. What is the trade-off there? Like, yes, you can maybe try and throw it in Speletal. It's not going to do super great because there's nothing with high initial power, just as an extra spell. But you're giving up an actual unit on the board for something that's not a unit on the board. Normally, you have to have a pretty nice trade-off for that. And the fact that it's just the initial base power, it's got to combo with something. And I just can't think of anything that combos extremely well where I'd be like, yes, I'm willing to give up a bronze card in order to make another bronze card more vulnerable to Scorch, more vulnerable to Artifact Compression, and maybe not just top deck at round 3 and have that as my only card and have it just be completely dead. So I'm interested to see what other support comes around with it, because on its own, I just don't see this card being used very often.
Yeah, without a body and yeah, you're right, maxing it. I mean, what's the highest initial power we have? 13 for Imperial Manticore and Imperial Manticore and Geralt, right? So the card maxes at about 13 strength. So yeah, do you drop a bronze body for a bronze special that could just whiff? It's a good point.
I mean, apparently on the dev stream it said bronze or silver as well, so it doesn't target gold. Here obviously on the website it just says unit. So
interesting.
If it only targets silvers and that, Geralt doesn't get a buff. It is a better. I would say it's a better overdose potion, right? The orange one, not overdose potion, swallow potion, because swallow potion is just 8. And I mean, assuming you have units in your deck, this is just inherently better because there's a lot of units stronger than 8. But it's more situational. Yeah,
but no one runs swallow potion either. I mean, this is a conditionally better swallow potion that, it could whiff, because I mean, like, you top deck this with no units on board. Maybe you have Ronvid on the board. You top deck this and you're out of luck. You top deck Swallow, you at least still got 8 points. But it could still, maybe it finds a way with some of these other cards to reveal. Maybe something else changes. Who knows? But unless it works a little bit differently, I don't see it being too used. Well, who knows? We've been wrong a lot.
Yep, that's true. So moving on, we then have Peasant Militia. And it's worth also noting these actually have a slightly different border to the ones that we're used to. I think they seem to have changed the neutral card border, at least on the bronze and silvers. This is Peasant Militia. Fill a row with peasants.
Now, what does fill the row mean?
Fill a
Do we
row,
have row limits now? Yeah. Do we have a unit limit on each row?
It must be row limits because
they've
said, right? Yep, special tactics fill a row with peasants, because they've said that they were making changes, and that everyone was getting agility. So if you had row limits, they have to give everyone agility, because if your melee row is full and you happen to have loads of melee units, that's not going to work. So they've had to take away row locking, which means that they're adding row limits. Is that why we don't have the agile markers on these? Is because everything is now agile, so they don't need to bother? Yep, it seems to be that the agile marker. I mean, these aren't units, so they wouldn't have had an agile marker.
Well, that's true. These are spells, but so the units as well don't have the agile markers.
None of them have the tag for a row, so this might just be like that when this patch comes down, that big agile patch will come down as well. So not sure, but it's definitely suggesting that. I mean, maybe it's just missing on the card arts themselves, but it is weird.
Yeah, the fact that it's also the midwinter update is just. Are you expecting this like next month? more than likely, and like. Oh, the timing of this just cracks me up because it's coming right after we were already announced that Thronebreaker was going to get released in 2018 as opposed to 2017. And it's like, but don't worry, we have something for you. And I'm sure people were disappointed. And then if we get position update plus 109 new cards, like you can delay Thronebreaker like indefinitely. Just keep throwing me 100 card patches.
So do you think that you could reach a point where all of your cards, like all of your rows are full? And then you can't play any more cards? Like, how does this work?
That's a good question. It limits, you know, like swarm archetypes for sure. And like, what happens if your opponent fills that last slot with a spy? Like, oh no, there's an emissary taking up my only spot. What do I do?
Because this is a bronze. You can play 3 of these in your deck. Like, you could open a game by playing Peasant Militia, Peasant Militia, Peasant Militia, have a board just covered in peasant.
And you got 10 points. It's great.
Yeah, like, this is the question. How does that work? Because maybe there's a way that you can replace units, or the idea is that, I don't know, units attack each other? Like, I'm just trying to guess, like, how this is going to work. Because clearly there are now limits to, you know, rows. You can't just do that thing with the, what are they called? The Nilfgaard decks where you have infinite cards. That's no longer possible.
I think they would just want to limit, like, not have those strategies that can kind of like get out of hand and have like very high amounts of strength. They like transition into that going into open beta. They kind of, you know, reduce the Axeman, for example, having that very high exponential value, and just most of the cards that could get a lot of value before, they kind of capped it. So it's like you normally end like a long round at like 100 points, not more than that. So this might be like kind of capping Swarm in some way.
Yeah, like Arrakis Behemoth. You don't have, you know, a row of 60 little Arrakis on it anymore because they capped the Arrakis Behemoths.
I wonder if it's an unintended benefit or just like it was intentional, where it's just like if you get too many cards where like they overlap way too much, and they're just like, if we just limit the rows, we don't have to deal with that problem.
For sure. And I think Gwent is going to be very different. This is kind of like, I think this is a huge, you know, we're trying to make predictions, but without full information and stuff, other than knowing that there's going to be row limits and stuff, I think Gwent's going to be very different. Someone pointed out that Lambert is now going to be much better if we're filling rows with peasants. And maybe that's why he's capped. Maybe that's why he actually has a 5-unit cap, is because they were like, well, we're bringing out the like peasant armies and we wouldn't want him killing them all. So I don't know. I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, the gold change was really big a few patches ago, and I think it's going to be even bigger. So it's hard to speculate like what cards are going to be good or what each card means, because you don't really know the rules of the game yet. So maybe it'll change a lot. I mean, I'm not too sure, but we're seeing a lot of different changes on the card arts themselves. So that may be, you know, hinting at a totally new game come a month's time.
I don't think anyone guessed this.
Gwent has done anything over its time since since closed beta, it has changed. And it's always been for the better, I think. So it'll be cool to see how things continue on. But with Peasant Militia, from a competitive standpoint, you know, I think it's really going to depend on how many peasants you actually get. Like, fill a row doesn't really tell us what the row cap is. Maybe someone knows yet and can help us out. But, you know, without knowing how many peasants you're spawning, yes, it's going to... The cool thing is that it's a swarm archetype for anybody, and I guess can this technically fall under the first bronze neutral like unit, sort of?
I mean, it's still a spell, kind of. Well, maybe, I mean, it doesn't have strength, so kind of, but they are units, I guess. So
yeah, because they're just little 1-strength peasants. So,
but now you can make your neutral spell deck and spawn units without having to, you know, have some workaround in it.
I know this is fantastic for the neutral deck, because neutral decks, considering the only units you got were silvers and golds, this is like a godsend. You're like, it's fine, I've got rows of peasants. Like, doesn't matter. Moving on, we then have a silver card, the Lesser Demons unit relict, 9 strength. Move a unit from your deck to your hand, so targeted draw. Then discard a random card. Could you imagine if you drew, like, targeted draw something and then just discarded it? Oh, it would be so good.
Can it discard the card you drew? That's what I want to know, because it sounds like you could. Is it discard a random unit from your hand, or it's kind of ambiguously worded about that, but it sounds like you could discard the card you just drew, which would be tragic, but also hilarious.
Unless it's Siri Dash.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's interesting.
I mean, you have to be able to discard it, because otherwise, if you have like only this card and you play it, and it draws a card, you have to discard a card. So I guess they just don't let you play if you only have this card in hand, kind of like other cards that might do that. So it's a weird card though. It might be a little bit memey, but I think it could. I mean, a targeted draw is obviously very, very strong, and its 9 strength is not laughable at all. It's pretty good. So depending on the deck you build, I think it might find its place somewhere in the meta. But the random effect is always, obviously RNG doesn't go hand in hand with competitive. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, the way I see this card, I mean, there's the obvious combo with discard SK. Like, it's going to find a home there if there's a silver spot available. But it's more of the targeted draw for any deck now. And I guess the way that they're trying to counter that effect is you have to discard something. So I actually see this being competitively viable, because I think there's going to be a few decks out there that are going to want that targeted draw. They want that one specific card, and if they can get it, then that's what you need. And yes, there's a little bit of RNG to it with the discard a random card, but if you specifically needed that Gigny, then you've got it. Possibly, as long as you don't discard it. It'll be interesting. Like, tutoring effects, especially tutoring for any card, is an extremely valuable effect. So I can see this being used like in tournaments and such.
Someone in chat saying that someone in chat saying that in the dev stream it was implied it's not RNG. Maybe it's text different, or maybe then misunderstood. I missed that part of the dev stream, so. But that's another text that could be slightly different. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it does say random, but it is important to note that what we are seeing on the site final. Is exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can also make a deck like with Raiders and Wolfsbane and Olgrid and Morkvarg and like a lot of discard synergy, like maybe like even going back to like Urmion Warlongship kind of thing, and make it so this can get a lot of value. Like if you discard, like you draw whatever card you want, and then discard a Raider or Morkvarg, could be pretty good.
Yeah, it's an interesting card. I think its home is probably in Skellige, but it kind of remains to be seen. In the current meta, its home would be in Skellige, in my opinion. But this is the current meta, and if we get row limits, which isn't guaranteed, but given the wording on Peasant Militia might be the case, then who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the future?
Speaking of interesting cards, interesting effects, I think the next one we get to talk about is Saskia Dragonfire, which I'm just waiting for like every single card, no matter how like mundane of a name, to just get like 7 different variations on it. Mm-hmm. But no, 8 strength, gold unit, banish your hand and draw that many cards.
Yeah, I thought this was a meme. I thought this was a joke at first, and then we saw it on the actual website. It was just like, what?
This is kind of the thing where like we don't know the rules, I think, again, because something might change. Other than that, it might just people that like enjoy getting milled and they just want to mill themselves every game might be an option as well. But it seems very odd, that the wording and putting that into the game right now would be interesting. I mean, I don't know how you would go about really playing that competitively.
I don't understand when it would ever be useful unless someone gives you a foul ale. Like, and even then, you're banishing everything else in your hand. Like, when is it useful to banish cards? Like, especially in your hand. Like, sure, it's great you can redraw a hand, but I just don't understand a situation where this would be good. I mean, maybe you could use it in big decks, but then you're already messing up your draw potential by using it in big decks. So it doesn't seem useful in that situation either, because then you'd have to guarantee that you draw it before you banish everything to try and find. Like, it seems way too situational.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need those specific 15 cards, and you don't care about the rest.
But
thinking about it from the wrong direction. It's not for supporting bigger decks; it's supporting smaller decks.
It's kind of
you just run it. It's like thinning. I mean, decks that thin a lot, they normally end up thinning to 12, which is, they get to 0 cards at the end, like, typical in their own decks with like BJ and stuff. So maybe it's just that kind of thing. Like, why run all these, thinning cards like reinforcements and marching orders when you can just play this card and thin down to 15 cards immediately? It might be.
I mean, it may be good if they have a new game mode, right? And let's hypothetically say, if they had added a draft mode and you happen to draft like the worst deck in history, then this is actually not bad, because you're like, well, I have all of these terrible cards that have no synergy, so we'll just banish them all and draw again, and hopefully
I'm
missing
thinking of the
maybe
worst
it'll work
cards
out.
again.
I missed the obvious synergy here. It's clearly meant to counter your opponent's Avalok the Sage.
Yeah, Avalak. I just. It must be like maybe it's like Avalak and Saskia are maybe designed for like the alternate game mode, right? Like because I can see Avalak being a lot of fun in a game mode where you've got to kind of customize a deck, and similarly Saskia would be really fun in that situation because this is something that could happen, right? You could Avalak into a Saskia Dragonfire and just banish your whole hand and just be like, well, I didn't think this card could get any worse.
You can also banish the new spell card, the Crow's Eye, I think it's called, where you do more damage with however many spells there are in your graveyard, and then pull those up with Sage, for example.
Oh, just banish spells instead of playing them.
To do more.
But it's banished, but they're not.
Yeah,
in the
oh,
game
right.
though.
Yeah,
It's not
So they
discard.
wouldn't do
Yeah,
any more
it's
damage.
out of the game completely.
Yeah.
That's true. I can't find any synergies then. That's the only one I had.
So the only thing I can think of is if like you want a 15 card deck only, or to counter your opponent's Avalok the Sage. But yeah, it's the Mimi at least.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun card. And can we just say from this layout that it looks like there should be at least 5 neutral golds, right? So from the layout of the current website. For those of you who don't know, you can see the cards here on this website. I've just linked in the chat. !leaks if you want to relink it. But basically this has all of the new cards and their art, except for the Series 1 they showed during the round of Gwent, which we only got card up for, but that was a 1 strength gold card. And it was Series Between Portals. There's not much to say about it because we have no idea what it does.
Yeah, I think the only thing to say about it is like typically low strength gold cards need to have one hell of an effect. I'm thinking Avalok the Sage. Maybe it's like spawn 2 Avalok the Sages. Who knows? Like,
And you can also just like use it like kind of like an Ermion. When you have like a smaller hand, like you banish, because it doesn't say like 10 cards. It's just your hand. So like instead of using it at the start of the game, like at the end of the game, like if you have a bad hand for round 3, you just banish all of them.
That's true.
And then draw like it's kind of it's kind of like Ermion, except you don't have any control over what happens.
Yeah.
And then worst comes to worst, you play it last and just get 8 points, right? So
Yeah.
I guess you could use it in that sort of situation.
It's still weird,
anyway,
like to have a situation where you can banish 10 cards. It's like, what? Why is this happening?
But moving on, we have Geralt Erden. So I think the only sign he's now missing is Heliotrope, which isn't even in Witcher 3. I think it's in the books.
Axie?
Do we have Axie? Oh no, we don't have Axie. That's
don't have
true.
Axie.
That is true.
Yeah.
So we have Quen, Igni, Yerden now, kind of an Ard, and then we're missing Axie. That's true. But yeah, Geralt Erden, reset all units and remove their tokens. So I guess tokens are things like resilience, spy. Is lock a token? I'm not really sure.
Oh, is that
exactly
what that
sure.
means by tokens? Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure tokens is like
resilience for sure is a token. Basically,
Yeah,
anything that
resilience
we
and
lock
spying
them,
is-
where it says remove tokens whenever you lock.
Got it. Okay. Because when I
because
hear
when you lock
tokens,
a
I
unit,
think of
it
like
stops being a spy.
the wolves that get spawned from Woodland Spirit, and I was like,
Yeah,
that doesn't sound right.
I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, that's like tags, right? Or is the actual name tokens?
So could you
Quen and that kind of stuff?
unlock?
It
Could
is
you unlock
tokens.
cards with this?
I'm not sure if lock is considered a token.
Yeah, it might be separate. It's probably separate since it removes tokens, right?
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah,
the only
I wanna
token I can
mouse
know
over
for
the
sure of
cards.
is resilience.
But like, if this removes all tokens, this is
'Cause
basically a
it used to be,
board-wide
like
lock.
whether sort of. I don't think it's going to actually lock. Like lock removes the
I guess
card
it
text
wouldn't-
itself
Yeah,
and removes the tags on the card.
true.
Tokens are things like I said. Resilience was a token.
Spy.
The
Spying is a token
Yes,
because if you
spying
lock
is
a
a
unit,
token.
it
Okay.
is no longer a spy. Because with Fake Siri,
weather resilience
they-
used to be a token. Like if it has an actual bar on the card itself, that's the token.
so it's a counter to Nilfgaard spies.
No, yeah, that
they
sounds
play
really good against
Infiltrator.
spies.
And
I
you're
mean,
like,
you just
nope.
play that.
I'm not
late in
even
the
sure if
round.
like it's not even like the remove all token remove their tokens things. It's interesting. It's the reset all units. It's like
It's-
you're
it's-
just going like super
it's
green
old
strength.
D-bomb, right?
Yeah, better. It's not. Well, D-bomb was
It's
all
a
wasn't
10-point old D-bomb, but a little bit better
But-
than that. Even.
You can't run it in a boost deck because you reset your
Right.
units as well. It's
You
really
run it
good in a
Skellige
strengthening deck.
You
Yeah, so
just-
it's
yeah,
not a
you-
Skellige card.
You run veterans and just play this card at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
You counter everything in the game because nothing else
Yeah.
boosts base strength.
Oh,
your
Spellitel.
Yeah. Like round 1 Nilfgaard and then Spellital will get kind of screwed by this card because no more Imperial Brigades and no more protectors at the end of the game if you have this.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, if nothing else, just these cards we're seeing so far are just like, all right, we're gonna seriously, it just like feels like CDPR is just like they're saying that we don't release enough cards, they're saying that we don't shake up the meta enough, and it's like fine, we're gonna just throw in all those cards we've been like having on our back burner for a little bit and let's see what they do with it, because this is going to be just a massive change. We were talking about this patch, and it didn't seem like there was enough cards that were like did enough. Like we've already talked about like 3 or 4 cards that easily shape the meta on their own, and I think this is one of them for sure. Like having a resell units on a gold body is just meta defining. Like you will see decks just completely removed. As you see Nilfgaard Spies round 1, Spellitel round 3s with all their high strength protectors. Like you literally will not be able to run these decks, or if you run them, you just pray that they don't have an Earden. Like it's that powerful of a card.
Yeah, unless we're missing something, I think this is definitely, you can easily say it's OP, unless obviously.
But I mean, we're missing like 90% of the cards in this.
Yeah, exactly.
This
so I mean, with what we have right now, with the rules we have in Gwent right now, and the meta we have right now, if you think about adding this card to the meta right now and countering Neckers, making 3 strength, the greedy Necker decks that are 17 strength Neckers, Brands, the Giant Toad, etc.
You can say this card feels strong, and Saskia doesn't feel strong just based on kind of the effects. Allegedly on the dev stream it was shown as a 5 after, so on Round of Gwent it was shown as a 10, but on the stream where they showed their build it was shown as a 5, which I think makes more sense because a 10 strength body on an effect like that seems a little bit overtuned.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's another indication that take all these card reveals with a grain of salt, because until you see it in the game, numbers are subject to change, text is subject to change.
Yeah, exactly.
But even as 5 strength, I think it's still
even as 5 strength.
It's like as long as you don't have any units that are boosted, it's like D-bomb for your whole enemy side plus like, points with a unit. Like
it would be played at 1 strength probably. If again in this meta, it could be played at 1 strength because I
think so.
It's just it can destroy so much that's running around in the meta right now. But again, like the rules could completely change on us with all of these new cards and just changes to how the game works. So who knows? We'll see.
Yep.
Sounds good. Anyway, so moving away from neutral, I guess we should start talking about factions. And just a little thing about the layout here. Assuming that all factions get the same number of golds and silvers, based on the cards that they've revealed here, it looks like we're getting 4 golds and 5 silvers. But that might not be the case. This is assuming everyone gets the same number of cards and based on the positions of the cards here. So that might not be the case, but if assuming they've ordered them here from bronze to gold, which it kind of looks like they have,
Northern Realms might not be getting that many. But yeah, it's still possible they all get 4.
I mean, you can have gold.
4 golds and 5 silvers.
You could have gold
like
before, right, as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, monsters. So werewolf. Unit, cursed beast, immune, whatever immune means, strengthened by 7 on contact with moonlight. So do we think this is like a boon? So like a weather effect?
Moonlight's going to be a new boon on a new friendly weather on a row. What I think is interesting is immune. Maybe immunity gives you immunity to things like Earden, resetting effects. We don't really know because we don't have the tags or the text for it, but it sounds like some sort of workaround.
Chat says immune is not targetable.
Immune is not
untargetable by direct hits.
Yeah, so you can't shoot it
so
with a card.
It's at 7 strength, but it's not going to get Ulzer Thundered.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't cover AoE, so you could hit it with like Manticore Venom, the one that hits 3, or Lacerate, for example. So you can lacerate it, but you can't. I mean, you can't lock it.
Presumably, yeah, because you can't target it. What I wouldn't be surprised to see is if that's a token, like a new token coming out. Because I mean, we're just talking about tokens, and like that would
and if it removes the
probably be something that would be like that. I think that card's largely like it's really cool. I like that we're seeing this immune tag token keyword, whatever we want to call it for now. But again, like just based off of current things, it's so hard to judge this card. 7 strength for a bronze is rather low, and we need to know what Moonlight does. We're assuming it's a boon. If it is, and it's a pretty decent boon, and you've got suddenly 14, strength bronzes, maybe 3 of them, it's going to be a pretty cool card, pretty good card. But without knowing what Moonlight does, this is just such a hard card to evaluate.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to point out also the cursed tag. This also, I think, leads into also the combat engineer Nilfgaard got the crewman tag, for example. In the last match, I think no one really talked about that too much. So it's interesting seeing like factions synergizing in some way. It also obviously gives a lot of value to cards like Avalok the Sage and stuff that kind of plays between decks, but it also maybe hints at something in the future, like draft mode.
Yeah, because this is the first non-skeleton curse card, right?
I'm not sure, but I just saw the curse tag and I just wanted to point it out because it might be. I mean, I'm not totally sure.
I think it is. I don't know.
If you have crewmen on the combat engineers and cursed on the werewolf, and also some tags, like I guess relics and stuff, but they are neutrals. Suggest that potentially in the draft mode, because potentially in the draft mode, you could draft from any faction. Is that what we're thinking? Could be. I mean, otherwise, why do you put crewmen? Why do you put crewmen on combat engineers, right? Unless you're going to give machines.
It might just be like value for like emissaries or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right, not emissaries. Never mind. Just cards that already like have synergy between factions.
Yeah. Who's muzzling a 2-strength crewman?
I don't know. Maybe they need the crewman tag to kill something.
It's not even the fact that it's the combo with Vico of Aromatics to steal your opponent's machines. Like that's where you go with it.
At some point, Olgierd is a cursed unit that's neutral.
Yeah,
so we did have that.
But this is monsters, so interesting.
Right.
So we next have Striga. Striga 5 strength monsters unit relic cursed. So we got that cursed tag once again. Deal 8 damage to a non-monster unit. So you can target your units or their units, but not so this is good unless you're in a mirror.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a 13
not
strength
good,
silver.
Playable.
Yeah. But I mean, 8 damage of removal is still pretty good. Like it's not great, but it's not like removal is still should be a powerful thing.
I think this is still good. I mean, you use like Eskel and Lugos a lot, with only like 8 removal, like on different on Farseers, on Enforcers, etc. So it's a silver card as well, so it's not bad. I mean, it's a better Nithril kind of, right?
Yeah, but no one plays Nithril, so.
Well, because it's 7, but maybe at 8.
Yeah.
And with a cooler card art, it might be enough.
Oh, it's worth pointing out you can't muzzle werewolf because it's immune. So that theory is out the window now. But it could just be flavor as well. I mean, some things have tags that don't do anything, and at the moment maybe are just flavor tags. I don't know. Striga is a bit dull. I mean, compared to some of the other stuff that we've seen, it's removal. There's not really a lot to say, is there? Like Triss.
No, like the only thing that stands out is the non-monster. So there's really not a lot to say. It's 5 deal 8. Cool.
It's like reverse, like a reverse Triss, but it's silver. So, I mean, it's pretty good. I think it's not that bad. I mean, if you need the removal in your deck, it's definitely an option.
It's kind of a shame because in lore, the Striga is like Foltest's incest baby that got cursed.
Well, we still have the card art. We still have the card art for the human version of this card, which is a Northern Realms card, which I don't think has been revealed anywhere yet, but I know we've seen the card art for it.
So as a Striga, she's a monster, but then she turns into a Northern Realm. So there's a little bit of lore. And if someone's saying spoilers, it's in a book that's over 10 years old. And in the first story,
it's the first book. It's the first story in the first book. If you're and it's the trailer, first cinematic for The Witcher 1. If you want to go as non-spoilery as you possibly can, that's the card.
Yeah, I guess people didn't want to know about Foltest's incest baby. It's fine. So moving on, we have Weavis, Incantation, 4 strength gold card, unit relic, mage. Choose one. Strengthen all allied relics by 2, or play a bronze or silver relic from your deck and strengthen it by 2. Bearing in mind that Striga is a relic, but werewolf is not.
Interesting.
I'm happy to see cards that support archetypes that aren't really supported right now. And I mean, obviously, we're not seeing all the cards yet, but once we see all like 100 something cards, I think we're going to see a lot of support for archetypes like Deathwish and like Relic, for example, that don't have that many synergies right now. So I think it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, we already have a lot more relics than we did before, so that's pretty good for that. Yeah, that's interesting that it's an option, but it's not playing like a spell like our current mages do. It's playing two. Well, I mean, maybe it is a new spell. I don't know, but it's doing two things. One of two things that don't really exist in the current game, like strengthen all allied relics by 2. That's pretty good. If you have 5 relics on the board, that's a lot of strengthening.
Yeah, I think
it is 4 strength unit though.
That's true.
But
it is only a 4 strength unit.
It gives you target to draw, and then if you happen to find the card you need and don't need the target to draw, it gives you, there's 2 ways that you can play it, but the ways synergize. It's not like a situation where if you're playing deck A, you play it this way, and if you're playing deck B, you play it this way. If you're playing a relic deck, it's viable in both ways. It just is. It gives you kind of situational options, which I really like about it. I think it's nice to have cards where their effects they have situational effects, but you have kind of an either or situation.
Well, someone in chat just pointed out you could play it with Crones and play a 26-point opening play with it, which is
Does it get pulled by Crones? But
Wait,
it's not Crone. It's not Crone Weavis. It's Weavis Incantation. So I don't think Crones would pull it.
No. Crones. You use this to pull.
Does it say you play all of the Crones? But this isn't a Crone.
No,
Crone,
but you can
the silver
pull a
Crones
bronze
are
or
relics,
silver relic.
so you
Oh, because Crones are relic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I think this is an interesting. It's a really cool design space that it looks like CDPR is exploring with this choose one effect. We see it on a couple of the revealed cards already for all the different factions, and what it's really going to allow cards like this to do. First off, it's nice seeing that Monsters is getting another pseudo archetype. It's more like a sub archetype, I think, to maybe like a swarm type deck, where it's focusing more on the relic synergy, which is cool because we don't have anything like that yet. But the choose one effect on it, like as Mithranor pointed out, you don't need that many relics in order to be able to get decent value. If you have 5 relics out, it's a 14-point gold, and more importantly, it's reach, which we've seen be very dangerous in the past with cards like old Sesynthesis is the dragon form, right? They changed names on me too much, but we've seen cards like this be dangerous in the past. So it's a card that could potentially be dangerous whenever it comes out. And then even when you don't have a whole lot of stuff out on the field, it's still that play a bronze or silver relic from your deck and strengthen it by 2. Like the flexibility on these type of choose one cards is going to be really cool and really interesting from a play perspective of like you can throw these into just about any deck, and you'll always have some option availability to you that makes it a pretty decent draw. So I'm really looking forward to the other cards that are going to be these choose ones. I hope we get more things in this design space. But as far as Weavis Incantation is concerned, it's a card that it scares me for now because, as I said, we've seen Reach be really dangerous in the past, and this is something that really lets you do that.
If you play it with Roach and Crones, then you thin 4 cards. I mean, it takes 4 silver slots, but given the fact that bronzes are getting much more stronger,
30-point opening play, yeah, that's a drive pass from the opponent's
board. And you can play it with Striga. It makes Striga better because it adds 6 points onto Striga. So then you get 11 points plus 8 damage, I think it is, which is pretty decent as well. Like in terms of tempo plays, it gives you kind of options there. So I think maybe Striga's not great by itself, but with other relics, it could actually see some play in a relic deck.
Yeah, I mean, you have opening hand with Striga, like a normal Crone, and then a couple of I can't remember what they're called. The ones that strengthen when you have relics in your hand. You play the Crones for a good bit of opening tempo. You play Striga to remove your opponent's whatever, and then you play a couple of the whatever they're called, and then you play this to strengthen them all. And that's not a bad round of just some power played. Fiend, yes, Fiend. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems really good. I think it's definitely going to see some play. I think the fact that you can kind of, like Dale said, pick between different things depending on the situation helps a lot in making a card viable and consistent. And obviously, the most competitive decks are all very consistent in that they thin a lot and always have like the perfect cards for the perfect situation. So I think it'll definitely see some play, and maybe Relic will become a viable archetype in the future.
Yep. But moving on to Nilfgaard, I think, is the next faction that we see some revealed cards from. And it's fitting because it's the reveal faction. But the first one we're looking at is Viper School Witcher, which is a bronze Witcher, which will be interesting to see. We see more more support for that tag like we do see with the Relic. But 7 strength, deal 3 damage, increase damage dealt by 1 for each alchemy card in your initial deck.
Initial deck is very interesting. So does that mean how many alchemy cards in total? So if you have them in hand, they still count towards that initial deck count?
That's what I would think. I think it's trying to like prevent you from like, I don't know, like spawning a bunch of alchemy cards and like you get all that added damage.
Is that something you can do right now, though, or is that just going to be an inclusion in the future? I mean, you can't really spawn alchemy cards right now.
I think it's just to make it so that this card doesn't completely whiff if you draw like all of your alchemy cards in round 1 and you can't really get rid of them and you have to play them in, I don't know, it could be.
Well, you can spawn alchemy. The like the silver mages have alchemy options, right? Or am I just losing my mind on those potions that they have?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a couple spawn, but they would never be in your deck.
Yeah, its initial deck is the interesting part of this, right? So, but they don't have to be, you know, like what this means, I guess, is that you can play them and then play this card and it'll still get value because it's based on however many you have total at the start, right? Before anything has happened. Yeah. So even though you've maybe played a bunch of alchemy cards, like beer,
and then how many you have in your deck builder.
Yeah. So that's what it means by initial deck. It's not suggesting that you could like make a bigger deck somehow like halfway through the game. I mean, maybe with was it Saskia Dragonfire, but ultimately the damage that this deals is determined by how you build your deck. And I think that's really interesting. I like that kind of flavor.
Well, I think it's interesting alone that it's 7 deal 3. It's already sitting at the high end with absolutely no investment from you, not even from a deck building perspective. It's sitting on the higher end of current bronze strength, sitting right at 10 strength total.
You just put
and the
in
fact that you put 11,
you put in 3 Mahakam Ales right now, and you got a 7 deal 6. That's a pretty solid bronze just to plop down on the board with no real setup besides what you built your deck around. That's not bad. Like that's 7 remove an Imperial Enforcer.
I mean, it's really good, not just not bad. It's really good.
I'm just trying to undersell it here, so you know.
No, I mean it's one of those like Handbuff Scoia'tael with the Swordmasters has to build up to that, and you can just be like, no, I just have this. I built my deck with the alchemy cards.
Alchemy cards, though, they're quite. You know, you need units on the board to see value. Like with the beers, for example, you need a unit on each row with Mahakam Ale. I mean, it does synergize nicely with Vikavaro Novice, so we can see maybe going towards an alchemy deck as an option for Nilfgaard, and maybe they're trying to open up kind of new archetypes rather than just spies and rather than just reveal. This kind of it gives me the sense that they're maybe working towards an alchemy type with alchemy archetype within Nilfgaard. But realistically, how many alchemy cards do you run? Because there's a balance between units and alchemy. You don't want to be in a situation where you have Mahakam Ale and no targets, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Mahakam Ale is not hard to get value out of. Like I've played a I call it Tempo Reveal Nilfgaard. I don't remember where I got the deck from. I think I got it from someone in chat. But it played Mahakam Ales with Vico Novices and a mix in of Reveal as well. And it was hard. It was hard to whiff on Mahakam Ales with that deck. So just adding in another card that can be just a body on the board, but also good value to take that get hit by that ale is making it even better.
But then the question is, what else do you add? Because ale is good, sure, but you don't want to add Thunderbolt Potion because then you have to stack your units horizontally as well as vertically. So
you add.
I guess the question is, what else would you put in?
You add up to 9, and then you Saskia Dragonfire.
Well, and then draw a handful of ales and then banish them all.
Yes.
It has synergy with like Vesemir as well and Mandrake, for example. So you can do a lot of things. I think Alchemy already has like a pretty good footing in terms of like the cards that got added. With Ale and Mandrake, I think they're pretty good cards, and like if you build a deck kind of around them or use them as a control option. And I think it's gonna get a lot of like it can be a really good card in the future. I think you'll find good value.
Yeah, I'd go for like 3 Ales and Mandrake with Vesemir and Vico Novices, and then this thing it's 7 deal 7. Like it's pretty crazy.
It's just your 5th on a bronze body.
That's fair to say. It's an interesting card for sure. I mean, I'm looking forward to just making an alchemy deck. You know, not taking this sensibly and just being like, right, how many potions can we put into this deck, such that when I do play the Viper School Witcher, you know, you're hitting for more damage than should really be feasible. I think it's going to be a fun card to play around, and depending on what other cards we see, will depend on how much this card sees play. Is what I would say.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to our next revealed Nilfgaard card. Probably going to screw up the pronunciation, but Cadaverine Venom. Special item. It's another one of those choose one cards where it's either dealing 2 damage to an enemy and all units that share its categories, or destroy a bronze or silver neutral unit. So maybe being a Witcher, maybe being a relic is a little. I mean, it's the direct counter to the Weavis incantation.
I think it is definitely. Deck.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that cdpr card is moving towards creating more archetypes for the the tribal tags that aren't really a thing yet. With the Herald Hounds now, obviously Curse got a big buff, and we were seeing a lot of more Curse being played. So I think this definitely like cements the fact that there's going to be like obviously you don't add this card to the game if there's not going to be a viable counter to anything. So I think it just means that there's going to definitely be like tribal synergies going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it not a little risky though?
Well, I mean, it can be, yeah, but it says share its categories, so multiple. So you pick something that has like 3 categories on it, like Temerian and a couple other things.
Yeah, that's true.
Categories, and you're hitting like 10 units or something like that.
I really hope it doesn't work that way.
That play a lot of units. You get like Temerian, you get I don't remember what
officer, soldier, just destroy the whole deck.
Officer, soldier, like you hit something and bam, it's just you do 20 damage or something like that. That's pretty good, but it's gonna take a long round to even set up. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, how often is it? But it says bronze or silver neutral units. Does that mean we're getting bronze neutral units?
Yeah,
we at least have peasant.
That is what that suggests, right?
Well, we at least already have peasant, which is going to be the one strength neutral.
We're going to get a lot of them, I think.
They actually meant a bronze unit or a silver neutral unit, and this just wording is weird. But this could suggest bronze neutrals.
It's true. The second, I don't know, the destroying a unit, unless it's like really boosted, that's not really like because there's not a lot of really individually powerful neutral silvers that I can think off the top of my head.
I mean, apparently peasants are bronze neutrals, so
yeah.
But then if you're going to use it to kill peasants, you'd use the first effect and just kill all the peasants, assuming peasant is like a tag.
Although destroy it doesn't banish it, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much against Morgfarg or Olgierd. It's not great.
You just hit all their peasants. They're peasants and soldiers, and then you hit like that's all right. Okay.
It's intriguing. Anyway, next up, Letho Kingslayer. I feel like this is a spoiler. Unit Witcher, 4 strength, gold. Choose one. So another one of these choose effects. Destroy an enemy leader on the board and set self to 11. Or play a bronze or silver tactic from your deck. So if they play their leader, you could kill it. Or you can target draw a bronze or silver tactic. Current tactics, we have Commander's Horn. And Decoy, I believe, are the only neutral ones.
Marching orders.
Marching orders. And then
yeah, it's a tactic. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. And then does Nilfgaard have any tactics at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I think we only have 3 total. We're getting a new tactic with the peasant spawner, right?
Oh yeah, that
was a bronze tactic.
The peasant militia is a bronze tactic. That's true.
People saying treason is a Nilfgaard tactic. Okay,
but
so we do have treason.
Oh no, treason is silver, isn't it? I always mix up treason and assassinate. Okay, so it can draw treason. I mean,
you can draw more.
How do we feel?
Kind of
that's
like
18 points against Amir right now. Right?
It's really good against
because it sets itself to
Elder.
11 and destroys a 7. That's pretty good.
I mean, Unseen Elder is a lot bigger than Amir.
That's true. That's true. But I was,
I think that's where it's going to cap out on point wise.
Yeah.
I feel like you play Unseen Elder, you maybe just see this and surrender, unless you're playing like the version where you eat 1 strength wolves. Like if you're eating 1 strength wolves, it's fine. But other than that, you see this and you're just like, right, it's just like forfeit now and save myself some time.
Even then, it's still an 18 point against Unseen Elder if it eats the 1 strength wolves because it's a 4 base. Point.
It's 5 base.
Point? Oh, it's 5 base. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's still not bad.
It's 5 base, right? Or is it? Crap, now you got me confused.
I don't know. It's 18 or 19 points there in that situation.
Yeah,
Unseen Elder is 5 base. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, chat is saying maybe Unseen Elder will be immune, but then if Unseen Elder is immune, this card then basically loses that ability. So the question is, how do you balance that? You balance it in favor of Unseen Elder, or do you balance it in favor of Letho Kingslayer?
You balance it have a second option.
Right? Yeah, but I mean, the second option is tactics, but if the person isn't running tactics, I guess it's just 4 strength. But I suppose that's a choice that you make when you build deck.
Yeah, they made a bad decision then. Just include the Commander's Horn in there. Yeah. It's not that hard. Play Woodland Spirit, play Commander's. All good.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's also Bran. That 2 strength leader. It's such a high value ability. In that situation. So
just run the tactics cards. Like it's a Nilfgaardian Natalis with more options now. So
less power,
but more options, and it has its own built-in option as well. So unlike Natalis, it can't. Well, it could whiff if there's no leader, but it has less opportunity to whiff entirely.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really strong. I think it's a really good card.
Yeah.
It also fits into, I would assume, like most decks, because a lot of tactics, like Decoy, for example, and Commander's Honor, they work in more or less any deck. So it's always nice to see cards where they aren't limited in terms of how you build the deck. Whereas, the relics that we were seeing, Weaver's Incantations, she seems, she's limited to a relic deck. Whereas I would say that Letho Kingslayer, you could probably fit into quite a lot of Nilfgaard decks. And I always like to see cards that feel quite broad in terms of the way that you can play them.
Yeah, this is definitely a card that I'm expecting to see a lot of once it gets released. I mean, at the very least, it's got the lore flavor that people were demanding with the original Letho.
Yeah.
So.
do like themselves some lore. Spoilers, full test is not alive anymore. Anyway, moving on. I feel like if you played Witcher 3, you know this. Moving on, we have a Winch in Northern Realms. So this is our bronze. Special tactic. So speaking of tactics cards. Oh, that's hard. Here is one. Yeah. Spawn a bronze Northern Realms machine and boost it by 2. So this is literally any machine that you like. And it's a spawn. It's not a, what's the effect? Summon or play?
Summon,
Basically, yeah. So you make an extra
like agitator. It's like
I really like this with Hensel. This is like you can just find whatever 3 cards are in your deck. You make an extra.
Oh yeah.
It costs him.
So you pull a card, you spawn it, and then you Hensult it. Oh my god, this is like Necro Warrior, Reaver Hunters, like all over again.
Yes.
Just no.
I mean, this is kind of like Monster's Nest for Northern Realms, but it buffs by 1 less point, but it's bronze, so it's very strong.
So if they kill your Ballista, you just play another Winch and then make another one, and then you're like, right, I got a new target.
Yeah, the flexibility of this card, the combo with Hensel, this is something that's going to, like, Northern Realms is one of the factions that's just not getting as many, well, they're kind of in the middle for number of cards, this, like, expansion or patch or whatever we want to call this thing, but if one of those cards that they're getting is a Winch, they're going to be in a perfectly fine spot. I mean, if you're playing a monsters list, or not monsters, a machine list, and you're just like, like, I didn't even think about the Hensel combo, that is obscene, but it's just any machine that you need at that particular moment in time, and then you can have 3 of these in the deck. Like, that is an incredibly powerful effect on a bronze, so I would expect to see a lot of Winches being flown around from Northern Realms. Like,
apparently it's you choose from 3 random machines. It's not any machine.
That's still fun. It's still an incredibly powerful card.
Yeah, that's still really strong.
And you can run 3 copies, so then even if you don't get the machine that you want to Hensel, like, you have options to find
Winch, and then Hensel, and you got like 60 points or some shit.
I think I agree. I think it's still got a lot of power, I would say, in a Henselt deck for sure, because you can kind of set up your Henselt there, which is kind of the hard part of Henselt. You know, when people are killing your units, then that's kind of how you beat Henselt. So this gives him a little bit more safety, I would say.
And even then, like in a Henselt deck with crewman tags and Romvid everywhere and stuff like that, a bronze card that, you know, boosts by 2 and has, you know, whatever. I mean, even if it's a bad machine, you know, it's still not going to be bad. It's still going to be pretty good, I think, in general. So I think it's definitely a card that's going to see play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about how, like, special cards, like, the trade-off there is that you don't have the body, and the fact that this is a special card that not only has the body, but it's also boosting that body by 2. Like, it's good.
It's like a bronze targeted Alger's Double Cross marching orders, right?
Yeah.
Like, it accomplishes the same goal, but for a more specific target. And it doesn't have to be on the upper or lower bounds of your card strings. So,
but it is random.
I think this card's very
that
good.
Downside.
It is random, but you choose from one of 3, so it's not that random.
Yeah, you've got like a little bit of safety there, and most of the machines are good. Like, people say Catapult is bad, but Catapult is bad in comparison to the other machines. Like, even if your options were like Catapult, the Trebuchet that's constantly shooting 1, and I mean, even the reinforced Trebuchet, the one that does 3 in a row, like, they're still all right machines, right?
Well, even if it's Catapult, it's still a 12-point play. Like,
yeah.
We might also get like more machines in this patch, maybe, that are very bad if not played in a specific combo or synergy, and that might make it a little bit worse. But in general, it seems pretty strong.
I think the point is it's bronze, so, you know, if it doesn't work, well, it's only taken a bronze slot. It's not like a silver situation where if it messes up, you know, it was your one chance and that's kind of it. So I think it is going to be fun. I think it's definitely going to be fun.
It also just makes Natalis a little bit better because you don't have to run as many silvers to guarantee Natalis gets value, right? You can free up some silver slots
because you can. Really important.
Yeah, because a lot of times people will run those 2 or 3 tactics cards just for Natalis because he's one of the better Northern Realms golds right now. But you can free up one of those slots, maybe take out marching orders for a winch instead, for example.
Yeah, for sure. That actually does make Natalis a lot better, because there are situations where you maybe don't want to be running Commander's Horn, or you only, like, if you only wanted reinforcements, for example, you're kind of limited in that if you want to run Natalis, you have to put in something else. So this is really good in that regard as well. I guess combined with the Peasants, because Peasants is also another bronze tactic. So these are, I guess, opening up Natalis, and we'll hopefully see some cool decks come out in the future because of this.
Well, moving on to our next Northern Realm revealed silver unit, Vincent. Cursed Beast, 8 strength, destroy the armor of all units, then boost self by half the value destroyed.
That sounds fun.
So, I mean, we were talking about how, like, Northern Realms just feels so lackluster. They don't have a finisher card, and then it's like, here you go. You need like 30, 40 points. You got it.
Yeah. Now we got Northern Realms Cold War in the mirror match. Like, you got an armor mirror match. It's just who's going to hit the button first. Like, you got to time it perfectly, or else, you know, they're just going to wait and use theirs later, you know.
Or have decoy.
Or have decoy, yeah.
The thing I love about this is it also gives value to those cards which have small amounts of armor. So, you know, at the moment we see Trollolor because you can get a large amount of armor, and that gives the Dunbanars value. This is giving value to all those cards that have small amounts of armor, where your opponent doesn't really want to be removing that armor because they get a benefit. So then this you can use to kind of trigger all of those other cards. And also like the Nightelex, for example, where if they have armor, they're boosting your units. Right at the end, you can then use that as some of the armor that you absorb. And I think it's going to open up a lot of the bronze cards that we haven't really been seeing in the current patch because of the fact that small armor values can add up to a lot of points.
It also has a curse tag. Just
Northern Realms, just the 2 cards. We haven't even talked about the gold one yet, but like, just from the bronze talk about the silver, like, Northern Realms is getting some fantastic support across their archetypes just from those 2 cards. And also the fact that Vincent is a silver and can be rezzed later with Shawnee in case you wanted to get that 1-2 combo. Like, you've got so much flexibility with Vincent that, I mean, if you needed a finisher card, it's scary because it's reach in round 1, and it's scarier because it's a finisher card in round 3. This is an incredibly powerful card that I would expect to see run in, like, if we wanted an armor boost, we got an armor boost again.
Does it take off its own armor? Because it could be like Shawnee into Stennis into Vincent. And it takes
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what I was
all
thinking.
units.
And that also depends on how priority works for that too. But
Yeah.
I think armor usually applies first. So
Yeah.
I think armor has the highest priority of anything. So I think it would take its own armor, which
Mhm.
makes it a really good Shawnee
Because
target.
surely it would resolve Shawnee's deploy effect before it resolves its own deploy
Actually,
effect.
It's only a 9-point Shawnee if it's by itself, but
really good Shawnee target.
yeah, really good
Nine
Shawnee
really
target.
good.
I just wanted
Really
to get
good
that out before chat just started ripping me apart for that one. But yeah, if there's other armor on board, it's a really good Shawnee target though.
There we go.
So last but not least, we have Selt Kirk, unit officer cursed Adrian, 7 strength gold, duel an enemy, 3 armor. Like,
What does that mean?
I feel like they possibly explained it on the dev stream, and we just have to wait for chat to tell us.
I am fairly
wanna-
certain you get to choose a unit and it like takes strength values.
Huh.
And if you have a higher strength value, then like maybe damage it by its strength value.
Interesting.
I'm
But see, like,
intrigued.
This has like 4 tags on it. Now, go back to the one that hits every tag. That's a lot of hits, right?
So from chat, as I understood the description, Seltkirk targets a unit dealing damage equal to his card's power. Then his card will be damaged in turn by remaining power of the targeted card. So if you're targeted one with 11 power, he would deal 7, and then the 4 damage that it would now be is dealt to him.
Doesn't sound
Okay.
good.
So
And
he
he gets
damages
armor,
unit, and they
so-
retaliate with their power. So you don't want to use this on Tibor, basically.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
Eventually, they last play Tibor, and you're like, right, this is the only card I have left. It would be
So
pretty depressing.
functionally, this is always a 14-point gold, right? There's no way of getting any higher than that, which is rather low on like gold strength value. I think the more benefit from this is that it's an extra gold removal card. It is essentially just a different version of, say, Eorveth with 7 deal 7.
Yeah,
It's just a
none of them
worse
didn't
Eorveth,
really have
though.
like a Lugos or a card like
Yeah,
that, pretty much.
that's
right?
true.
So it's kind of just adding one to each faction, basically.
I don't know.
Some people are saying that maybe they keep fighting until someone dies. Like, is it a duel to the death? Because, like, is it much of a duel if you hit someone and they hit you back? Like, I don't know if I call that a duel. It could be. It's very interesting. But then if that happens, you're basically just killing a unit, but with no body, which maybe isn't that useful. I don't know. I guess we have to kind of understand exactly how the duel works before we can really
Yeah.
speculate.
Mm.
I mean, if they keep
I think
dueling,
Bruce
you
is
can do
in
a
the
lot
chat
more
if he could
unfortunately.
help us out. Hint.
Yeah, chat's saying it's till death.
So that's a lot more points.
Yes.
Like even if you hit a 10 strength unit, you damage it by 7, it hits you by 3, you have 3 armors, doesn't do any damage at all, and you still kill it, right? If it keeps
Yeah.
on dueling,
Yeah.
so
Yep. So it'd be a 10-point or 17-point gold at that point, which is considerably higher.
Okay.
but then you could still take damage and keep on fighting, right? So it could be much more than that
Like,
I think
this
it can
is-
only be 3 more than that. I think it caps at 20, does it not?
in terms of removal.
This is too
Uh,
much math. Like,
yeah,
I
it's a lot
cannot
of
cope
math.
with this. Like I feel like the average Gwent player, like we aren't that good at math. This is like, right, I hit them for 7, and then they hit me for this, but then my armor does this, so then I hit them because you'll hit them for less if they hit you back and
We're
deal some
gonna-
damage. So
Oh,
We're gonna
right,
start
yeah,
seeing
true.
like
This is-
yeah.
like,
We're gonna start
Yeah,
seeing like
There's
the pro
algorithms.
players all have PhDs
Yeah.
in math, like the only way you can play at a competitive level.
because if you hit an
subgroup
11,
algorithm.
they hit you back for 4, so then then do 6 damage instead of 7. So it, like, if it's based on your strength, it's I don't know.
We just need
I
a
think-
chart. What's the ideal number for it to hit to get the most points?
It's
Oh, you know,
12,
if someone
We
in
figured
chat
out, someone
has
will have it. Yeah.
already
It's
made
capped at
this.
12, right? You hit for 7, it hits you for 5,
And you have
because you have 3 armor plus
Yeah.
the 2 damage, so you're at 5, then you hit for 5 again. So 12.
Yeah, basically, I think
Okay.
people will misplay with this. Is what the point I was kind of making. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
chat's
yeah.
like, oh, math isn't that hard, but like when you're under, time pressure with Gwent and the timer's ticking down, and you're trying to work out if this is an optimal play versus another play, I think it's more challenging than you would think to do the quick math. Dandelion, you could boost it with Dandelion, and then it does more damage, right? Assuming it's
Mhm.
total strength. and
Assuming
not
it's total
base
strength.
strength.
Well, in full test and royal decree.
Yeah.
You really wanted to just try and like it's going to depend on if duel is to the death or if it's just hit once. But it's potential. If it is to the death, then this is a rather good card. You're going to be able to start hitting above his weight class and start killing off some pretty valuable 10 strength, 11 strength, 13 strength cards. And yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see just how duel functions and if we see more cards with duel or if he will stand alone in this.
I think it would be really fun if, as Panda suggested, you can make multi-faction decks. Because he was saying there's curse tags on Vincent, there's curse tag on Werewolf, but Skellige seems to have all the cards that affect curse. So if you could get this guy in a deck that also has strengthening, he's going to be nuts, right? Because you can then make him really big and start just destroying things. And that's the kind of situation where it might be interesting if you can somehow strengthen him in your hand. Or play him. You could because you could play him, Mandrake him.
Deck.
Yeah, play him, Mandrake him. He dies, renew, and then suddenly you're hitting. Like there are all sorts of interesting synergies with this card that I think it's going to be more interesting than we currently think.
I would just like to continuous. Go ahead, Dill.
No, I was just kidding. I'd just like to highlight Plutonium Rooster in the chat. He's also on the official Gwent Discord. But what if you duel Ronvid?
That's true.
Well, actually, when he dies, like technically he dies and comes back, right? It doesn't just keep fighting.
Yeah, the target disappears once he dies. I guess it refreshes the target, so it stops. Maybe.
I thought it would be the same with Morkvarg. Like you kill Morkvarg, he comes back. You kill Morkvarg, he comes back. Interesting. Anyway, let's move on to Scoia'tael. So we have the half-elf hunter. So clearly someone's been getting frisky with the Dwans. That's really unacceptable. But half-elf hunter, elf soldier, spawn a copy of this unit, 3 strength. So you play one and it spawns another one? That's what it does.
Well, spawn a copy of this unit. So if you buff it with a hand buff deck and it's a 10, it spawn another 10.
So it's not base copy, it's copy.
Nope. Yeah, it just says copy.
Okay.
So if you wanted a nice, just tons of power in a column, and it's very safe power too. It's going to require a little bit of setup because you can't just have the 3 strength. It's a 6 strength bronze at that point. It's not going to be great, but you buff it once, like he gets 1 tick off of a dragoon. It's an 8 strength bronze. If you go ahead and slap a the Hawker support smuggler, whichever one buffs by 3. I think it's the support. You're certainly looking at a 12-point bronze combo, but you're also spending a 6, so it's an 18-point bronze combo. It's very interesting.
It's like not great. So it's like Swordmaster, but more guaranteed value because you don't have to find a removal target, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Apparently it was 6 on the stream, not 3. I don't know if it's going to be 6. But then someone said it was base strength rather than regular strength. So I'm the wording is weird. So it might be that it's a 6 with base strength, making it 12. It might be that it's a 3 that has hand buff synergies. So we can, I guess, talk about either option.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's base strength, it's kind of mediocre then.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not sure yet.
Yeah, maybe they're not
it's either 3 and not base strength or 6 and base strength.
Yeah.
Because it would be 6 and 6. It's still a 12-point play. Like you guys are like, it's rubbish.
Well, if it's a 6 and 6, it's great. If it's a 3 and spawn a copy, not a base copy, it's amazing. Because it is that just replaces Swordmaster in every deck, unless you wanted the removal, because suddenly you're feeling very comfortable running, all 3 of these because no matter what buff it picks up, it's always going to get that value.
I mean, removal is normally better than your stats because your stats are vulnerable to Igni and Scorch, etc. But it's also more situational, so maybe it's a risk you have to take.
Someone mentioned something interesting. What if there are bonuses for filling your row of units? So this spawning 2 things would make you be able to fill up that row faster. I have no idea, but that's an interesting idea. What if there's something to do with how you fill up your rows and things like that?
But then you just play the cow guy.
Yeah, but that's important.
It's not even a cow. It's peasant
it's not even.
No,
unless you mean the current cow guy.
No, he's talking about
the only cow guy there is. I don't normally, confuse peasants with cows.
But why would you play the cow guy when you can play peasant militia and instantly fill a row?
Because you like cows more than peasants. I don't know.
Okay, Panda confirmed likes cows more than peasants. There you go. I guess it just remains to be
a lot of it.
right?
yeah, it depends on if it's copy or base copy, and it depends on where that strength ends up. From a pure design standpoint, I like this card. It's I don't think we have anything that's spawning 2 copies of itself. If you're playing any type of swarm list, then you're like maybe they're hinting at a swarm direction for Scoia'tael. I don't know. It's a very cool card, and I like the idea behind it, but the devil's gonna be in the details in this one. But moving on to, do you want to? I will let you pronounce this one because I'm probably gonna screw it up.
Mithranor. I'm going to say Mithranor. That's what it's called now. Anyone who says otherwise is officially wrong. Deal 4 damage to the units at the end of the row. Units? How does that work? Because it's row singular, but unit. Either
at
end.
both
so
ends. Units. Yeah. Okay,
I
so
was
it's
just
a
like
13-point card.
It's like the 5 deal 8, except it's 5 deal 8.
Except it's not as much removal because it's distributed. So it's like it's just bad.
So if you're against Scoia'tael, you should put your 1 strength units at the end of the row. Like now we actually have to think about where we put our units because Mithranor might come on. Yeah,
positioning matters again.
A max 13-point silver without the removal of the deal 8 damage on 1 unit is just kind of bad. I mean
you might see cards that
I
place themselves only at the end of the rows. Like a lot of things can still be added to the game that can give a lot more sense to a lot of these cards on synergies and stuff. So maybe it's that.
Maybe.
Does this whole row thing nerf muzzle? Like if you fill a row, if your opponent fills a row and you play a muzzle target opposite, will they be unable to muzzle it because the row that it was going to move on to is full? So I was just completely.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Unrelated thought, but I was just thinking about.
You just got to kill. You just got to bear one of your units and put it on a different row, and then you got that row cleared again.
So it's not a 9-point silver. Just to point this out to chat, those rows have 2 ends, so it was a minimum 13 because you'd hit the unit on the far left and the unit on the far right.
It's a minimum 7 if you're hitting some peasants.
Okay, if you hit some peasants, that's true.
Yeah.
Or some cows.
There's so many ways for this card to go wrong, and even when it goes right, it's only 13.
Yeah.
You could play Iris and then Summoning Circle Iris and put it on each side of the row and get a nice finisher.
I guess that is the best case scenario for this card.
It's capped right there.
So you need Iris, them to play a gold, you to play Summoning Circle, and then them not to play anything on either end of the row.
That is 55 points in 3 plays. I mean, that's not too bad, but
yeah.
I mean, for the first week when this patch comes out, like that first week when no one really thinks about that, but then after, like, you see a month later, like they're playing around, like Iris being at the end of the row against Gwent. Be a fun meta.
The thing is, like, people are saying, at worst it's like 6, or actually at worst it's 5. But how often are there going to be no targets, right? And how often do people play units that are less than 4 points? Like, there's not that many units that are that small.
I mean, it's getting introduced with peasants, so.
Okay, well, when someone runs like a farm deck with peasants and cows, then yes, this card is not great. But I feel like we're putting too much emphasis on the worst case when, there are still situations where it's decent. The issue, I guess, is it's not targeted.
But its best case is still bad.
Its best case is, yeah, exactly. Like, it's best, like, we're putting emphasis on the worst case because the worst case is terrible. And then the best case is, yay, 13-point silver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad for the silver. It's not great, but you see a lot of...
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah, and then you pull Ayla in and you get an extra 6 points. It's all good.
Grimace Bear is 13 points.
That's true, but Grimace has the flexibility.
I know, but I mean, it's still like 13-point silver C play. Obviously, under different circumstances, but it's not terrible.
Yeah,
and
I
it
agree
could find
with
some good removal.
Is there a 4-strength unit that your opponent would run 2 of that you want to remove? Like, does that exist, or could it exist?
You can there could be a kind of like a control Scoia'tael archetype that weakens units down to 4 strength, and then they're the perfect units to hit.
It's good against Guardian, because if you do that damage, you can then play muzzle. Like, there are synergies with it. Like, you could use it to weaken units and then muzzle them, for example. I'm just saying that it's not as bad as
too far
say.
into it.
No, we're gonna muzzle those Guardians.
Too deep in the hole.
It's like my favorite thing to do ever.
I think Jaggers has played against a lot of Guardians today.
It's like, you played this? No, I played this. enjoy your little lesser guardians.
And that's fair. When they open with blue striped scouts, it's okay.
It's a good point, though. Yeah, that's actually true.
Good one. Oh, but no, 13 point silver, unplayable. I think it finds value in some situations.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Well, onwards to Isengrim Outlaw. 3 strength gold unit elf officer. Choose one. Spawn a silver special card, or spawn a silver Scoia'tael unit.
Oh, we get double, Milen. We're gonna play her twice. It's great.
Scoia'tael, I mean, yeah, Scoia'tael's not a tag, right? It's just all of their cards.
Well,
so
okay,
if
we're assuming it's like the 3 random ones again, like we were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I really hope.
Okay. So you run 3 spells and 3 units. There you go.
Silver special cards. So Hailstorm, White Frost, Skellige Storm, Mandrake, Scorch. There's a lot. Oh man, this is going to go so good in my Scorch
It doesn't even say neutral. It just says spawn a silver special card. So I'm hoping that gets either neutral or silver Scoia'tael special card at least. Like that is a large variety.
It has a discover tag
saying
like
it's
the winch.
Random. So
yeah,
it just runs.
It's a new mechanic.
Specials and 3 units, and
no, but
you always
spawns. It doesn't pull from your deck.
It doesn't spawn. It doesn't spawn from deck, so it spawns literally any.
Yeah.
Well, the question is whether it's.
But it's choose from 3 out of all
random.
The spells.
It's random amongst. What the
it might just be Scoia'tael specials, right? Like it says silver special, but it might be silver Scoia'tael special, which would be Nature's Gift, Last Wish. What else have they got?
No, I think it'd be normal silver special cards if it doesn't specify it for a reason. I think.
Oh man,
it's interesting. I mean, it can be memey, but it's not terrible either.
But with Ithne as well, because you get to replay it, so you could find another faction special card and see a lot of use out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting. It's fun. I like fun cards.
Monster
Last Wish is neutral, so it is. Yeah. I mean, who plays Last Wish except in Skeletell, to be fair? I'm going to defend myself here. No one else plays it. It's fine.
This is a hard one to evaluate because there's just so much going on with this card. Even if we're assuming that it's the choose out of 3, like the discover mechanic from Hearthstone, where it's just a random list, but you get to choose from 3 different things. It's a large variety of RNG on the first half of the card, and it's a still smaller, but still a large variety on the other half as well. I'm just trying to figure out where the high ends and where the low ends with this card are, and I'm concerned that this might be just a little bit too much RNG for competitive. Like it almost feels like it's falling into the same line as Avalok the Sage or Saskia Dragonfire. Like it seems like it's one of those types of cards. I'm just trying to find where the high end is.
This is even more RNG than Avalok the Sage, because in a lot of situations you kind of have an idea of what golds or silvers you might pull with that. If this is pure RNG, you got no idea. Like you could pull Scorch or you could pull like Decoy, and
but
you get a choice though.
3 cards.
You get a choice. Like you don't just Scorch yourself, right?
Because that's
apparently it's a choice of 3.
Yeah, you do.
So
did you ever discover mechanic?
Did you ever do discover in Hearthstone, Myth?
No.
So the way it works is that if it's grabbing a list of every, so like for the silver special cards, it'll grab every silver special card in the game, and then it'll randomly pick 3 of those, and from those 3, you get to choose which one.
Okay. I mean, high end you get a really good Scorch, right?
Yeah.
Low end,
probably
you get, I don't know, Last Wish with 1 card in deck, and it's like a merc or something.
Decoy could be pretty dead.
Yeah, Decoy could be pretty dead.
I think it's good for, like, I feel like this is one of those cards they've designed for whatever the draft mode is. Like, you get certain cards here where the flavor is clearly crazy stuff's going to go on, and ultimately that's good for the game, because with streamers, if you get these crazy clips of someone playing this card, playing Isengrim Outlaw, and pulling something ridiculous and something crazy happening, like that's going to get shared and that gets exposure. So just pulling these cards, like they definitely don't feel like they're designed for maybe competitive play. And Isengrim Outlaw and I think Saskia Dragonfire and Avalak the Sage, that's those cards, right? They're designed to have a bit of fun. And like you guys are all like, it's terrible, we're gonna scorch yourself. But like Come on,
Okay,
it's fun.
from a competitive standpoint, you already covered it. But from a content creator standpoint, this is a fantastic card, and they need to print more of these.
So, what if you get D-bomb and then you D-bomb it and then you decoy and then you get decoy from the choices and you get like decoy multiple times? It'd be kind of game break.
How many decoys can you get in a row? What are the odds? Oh, man.
Yeah, like that's the new Reddit clip in 2 months from now.
I can't wait for that Reddit clip. It takes the entire turn, and then the RNG just keeps going with the decoy.
12 times decoy, and then it just ropes and starts choosing random stuff.
Yeah.
I will say just a word of caution.
Yourself.
With cards like this that are meant to be just purely fun, you always have to be like that much RNG can be dangerous if it ever does get competitively viable. So it's a card that maybe we'll have our fun, especially from a content creation standpoint where it just pulls the most random crap that you could expect. But if this ever gets competitively viable, it's going to probably be worse overall for the competitive scene. So it'll be something to keep an eye on, I think.
I think
realistically,
the
though,
RNG of this, it can't be.
Yeah, realistically, no one's going to bring this because there's too many options.
Yeah.
And I would say that as the game gets bigger, it's only going to get worse. Because as they add more silver cards, there's more options to pull from. Like, I think this card is really fun. I like it because I like to try and make a deck where you can scorch your opponent as many times as possible, and this adds an extra option for scorch. Admittedly, it's RNG based, but I like it for that reason. But I'm not concerned about this in a ranked or competitive situation. I get what you're saying, Dale, but I feel like the way the card is worded, that wouldn't happen.
I mean, people said the exact same thing with Yogg-Saron and Hearthstone, and
I don't know why he does.
It's play a random spell out of any spell in the game for every spell that you've played.
Yeah, but that's like...
Yeah, but that's ridiculous because he can play like 50 spells. Like, it's completely different.
My point is that if this card is approaching that level of RNG, and it's something that it's just something to keep an eye on. I expect this card to be fun. I expect this card to be enjoyable from like what it's designed to do, which seems to be just pure randomness. But I'm always scared that something like that can get into competitive, and that is not healthy for the competitive scene. So I'm not saying that this card is going to be that level. I'm just saying that it's something to be keeping an eye on.
I mean, I think it's just not going to be like consistent enough to be like it's a card that I think makes a lot of sense outside of ranked mode or outside of constructed, for example. So, I mean, I think there's going to be obviously everyone is waiting for a new game or something to happen in the future. So this makes a lot of sense being in a new game mode. I think it's a fun card that might not be the best card in the world, but it adds a lot of fun to the game, which it's obviously there's a public that only wants to have fun playing Gwent. They don't want to get rank 21. They don't want to get to the top pro ladder. They just want to have fun playing the game. And this is a card that does that. So I don't think
Are you suggesting that getting to rank 21 is not fun?
Depends on the person. For me, it's very fun because I'm a very competitive player, but for others, it isn't. Because they don't want to play like the same, net decks.
Yeah, no, I do get what you're saying. I mean, but played ranked is okay fun. Anyway,
well, I think
on.
We're on to our final faction.
Go draw a line under this. Yeah, we have Bone Talisman, special item. Choose one, resurrect a bronze beast, or heal an ally and strengthen it by 3. So similar to Tordorok Shieldsmith, but this is a spell. Alternatively, you can resurrect a bronze beast, such as the bears that you create when you shoot the marauders. What are they called? Berserkers?
Bear.
The one that turns into a bear.
No, Raging Berserker.
Raging
Berserker. Yeah.
Raging Bear. Maybe.
Yeah. So it's got synergies with that, and it's got synergies with like anti-weather, for example.
I think Armorsmith is too good right now, and the fact that it hits 2 units and it has a body and stuff. So
I think the only way this card is viable is because it has the option, but otherwise it's just a worse priestess and a worse armorsmith.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's just the fact that it has the choice between the two that might make it viable. The other problem with it is that it's a special and not a body, which Skellige usually doesn't like as much, and it's not something you can pull with like an herbalist or anything like that either. So.
No, but it's more resurrects.
Right, it is more resurrects. That's true.
In terms of extra resurrects, like I could see it getting played in some kind of like bear discard resurrect strategy, right? Or like it says a beast, so they might also add future beasts, which would really bring Bone Talisman forward. This is where Dale was saying he's concerned in certain situations. This is the card where you could definitely see it getting played if suddenly there's this really good bronze beast, for example. I mean, at the moment, what do we have? We have the bear that gets discarded from the berserker. I'm just trying to think what other beasts there are in Skellige.
I mean, there's like 4 bears.
But
Savage
Blood
bear.
War, you can't res that. It gets doomed.
You can't res those.
No.
Finished.
You can res the.
What about anything on Doragary?
Yeah, there's beast there as well. Savage bear.
Savage bear
Savage
is
bear.
beast.
I think it's a card that's just going to make more sense once we see all the cards. It's the card
exactly.
There's probably going to be beast added, Skellige beast, and again, going back to what we said before, it says bronze beast and not bronze Skellige beast, so this might make sense in a different game mode as well. So I think this is just a lot of this is hinting towards that. I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen, or it might not be drafts, or it might not be like that kind of arena game mode that everyone wishes that it'll come into the game. But it makes a lot of sense in that as well.
Yeah, it's the choose one effect, which is, I think, like, seems to be the overall theme with this 109 card patch, and in comparison to the other choose one effects, where it's like, it's trying to do one thing, and if that fails, you always have that backup plan. This is trying to just do 2 mediocre things, resurrecting a bronze beast. If we do see a really powerful bronze beast come along, then yes, having 6 reses on it is maybe potentially useful. Like maybe you just need to run, 3 reses in one round and 3 reses in another round on it. I don't know why it's dying that often, but it's questionably useful. And then the heal an ally and strengthen it by 3 is also questionably useful. Like, and the fact that this isn't a body, it's so risky that it's probably the only choose one card I think we've seen so far that can straight up whiff and do nothing.
I mean, you don't have to kill the bears, though. You just have to banish them with Saskia at the start of the game.
No, the banish, though. Banish just doesn't go in the graveyard.
Oh, right.
Yes, banish.
I always forget about that.
If Saskia Dragonfire was just banish your hand and draw it, it'd be
hands.
fantastic. But it's the banish that's concerning.
Yeah. I'm going to need a reminder for that once the patch comes out. I'm just going to banish my stuff and be like, where is everything?
Yeah. I think it's... I can see why you guys are saying it's not that strong at the moment, but I think if we see some extra beasts added to Skellige, or as Panda says, if there's a situation where you have multi-faction cards, this could really shine. I think the heal an ally and strengthen it by 3 isn't great, because if the allies are healed, it's just 3 strength, which isn't.
It's basically it's half of Marjo, right?
Yeah, but not even getting the reset, so it's not great in that regard. But I think the resurrect. I think there could be situations where having those extra resurrects can really make a difference. So I don't want to completely discount this card. Anyway, moving on
to Darren.
I'm
just gonna let Jaggeris pronounce all of these, so I can't be ridiculed for them. 5 strength, Skellige silver, unit, demon, and cursed. Whenever an enemy is
Demon.
Jaggeris, it's all you from now on.
It's a demon. It's the devil himself.
So yeah, I knew it was going to happen. But whenever an enemy is damaged, boost this unit by 1. So old Axeman on a silver body.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty much all it is. It's just old Axeman.
It's pretty good, I think. You can find a lot of value.
Old Axemen were good. That's why they got changed.
Yeah.
So.
As you like the new cards that were added.
Yeah, it's just running it on a silver, but it is cursed, so you could guarantee pull it from what's his name?
Skjall.
Skjall, yeah. You could pull him with Skjall. So that's not bad.
But I think the problem is artifact compression kind of ruined this, right?
Well, yeah.
He's great if you have Sig and Restore and whatnot, because then you can play him on multiple rounds and you get 1 Axeman effectively, and it gets buffed. But
you run him with Axeman, right? And so now that's 1 less Axeman that they can destroy, right? Because it's one more thing they have to take into account, and it's definitely going to be their target. So they can't avoid your damaging effects by playing on different rows because of this. And if they don't have that single high removal card, then this is going to probably just win you that round. If they do have it, then usually your Axeman will probably make up the difference. So I don't know. I think Axeman could be, a bit viable with this, but again, we're seeing seeing through the keyhole the cards so far.
I guess you like, you know, you can always soak up some of those banish effects and whatnot with your Axemen. The problem is like you want to be playing them early, so you can't hold them too long. Otherwise, you're not going to see value.
You could just hold this guy, play him, and then play Stammelfords and get tons of value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you play,
I feel like this card needs to be talked about. Sorry, with the next revealed card, and actually the last one that we'll talk about because specifically because one of the effects on it is play a cursed unit from your deck, so you can guarantee pull this every time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with the
unit
Rockvar cursed. Play a cursed unit from your deck or spawn a silver unit from your opponent's deck. If you pick that and your opponent doesn't have any silver units, does it just do nothing? And then you can't get the alternate effect. I'm guessing that's how it works. Like similarly with, you know, like with Johnny, where if you don't have a card that you can pull, it just doesn't happen.
Probably. I mean, this is a card that I think you run with that in mind and as a possibility. So you would obviously include, you know, a few cursed units in your deck. So you have some kind of curse synergy as well, maybe. Yeah,
but if you happen to have all of your curse units, then maybe you just go for the RNG play and try to get their Ronvid from them or something.
I mean, the same way if you have like Natalis in hand and all your tactics cards, then you're kind of screwed as well.
Exactly.
So it's a risk you have
to
take, I guess.
2 points.
I like that Darren with Tremors though. Like you wait till your opponent fills their rows with cows and peasants, and then you're like, "Here's Darren." Because it says whenever an enemy is damaged, so it doesn't sound capped, right? It's not like.
No, yeah, you play this with Tremors, and you're getting a ton of value.
And with Chiron X.
Yeah, Chiron X too. Yeah.
I mean, only if you have a few units.
No, I think it's old Axemen on a silver body.
Yeah.
And we already knew that old Axemen was good, so. Limiting it to a silver body, I think, still is fine. You can probably fit in a silver unit in an Axeman type deck, and then combining it with him, just to guarantee that you can draw a little bit better.
I mean, this is a card this was called for. Axeman, back when they were board wide, people were saying just put it on a silver body, and now we have it. You know, we have a nerfed Axeman and we have old Axeman on a silver body, so.
And now we have muzzles, so you can take Darren for yourself. Although,
and then
oh my god, Darren with ballistas. Oh man.
Or just steal him and then play all your ballistas. It's gonna be There's gonna be so many cool things happening. Like, I feel like the card pool really needed expanding, and this huge update. You know, we had like 300 and I think it's about 380 cards or so at the moment. So this is basically another third on top of that. Like, this is a big number, like a big percentage-wise update, so everything is going to change. And I mean, we're talking about things based on current cards and based on what we know, and we are aware of that. You know, chat's like, oh well, you can't predict anything, but it's still fun to talk about, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. Like this last patch, I think specifically was 20-something cards, and people just felt like it was increased. People were just complaining that it wasn't enough cards to really make a difference. It wasn't enough meta shaking cards to really do anything about the meta. It felt more of the same that we had from the last patch, and I feel like getting 109 cards in a patch, increasing it to pool by over a fourth, is definitely, and from the ones that we've already revealed so far that we can talk about, are already like, we know that Gwent as we know it, Gwent this meta, will not exist. There is just no way that any decks can survive in their exact form coming with this 109 patch, like the 109 card patch. There's just too much changing, and I think it's good. If we wanted something to be shaken up, this is how we do it. So it's going to be really fun and rip my ore reserves as I open keg after keg.
Yeah,
we didn't mention that as well. I mean, people should start stockpiling a lot of ore and kegs, because normally you get 20 new cards and you can craft most of the ones you want to play, and you can get the rest of them throughout the next few weeks. But now, I mean, there's a lot of new cards, a lot of kegs have to be opened.
Yep, and we're getting new leaders.
Kegs as I go. Oh yeah, new leaders too. Does that mean new challenges too?
Big patch. Yeah, I would expect there'll be new challenges if they do new leaders, because it fits with what's already in the game and it's good for the new player experience, which is very important. I would expect we'll probably see this patch literally around the week of Christmas, right? Because there's no way they're going to patch before Challenger. You don't drop a patch this size
announce
for 2 weeks.
I figured they announce it something about it maybe at Challenger, at least something to do with it, or finish revealing the cards around Challenger and then release like soon afterwards.
Yeah, which would be about the 19th of December. So yeah, just coming up for Christmas. That's the Tuesday, and they tend to patch on like a Monday or a Tuesday. That's when I would expect to see this. So that's in about 3 weeks time. That's not very long. Holy crap!
Start saving.
Gonna be good. Do you reckon they must go in the standard keg, right? Or do you think they'll have like no? They wouldn't have a special keg for only 100 cards. Or maybe I don't know. How does this work?
They've never done it before, but they've never released this many cards before, so we'll see.
Nope, something to look forward to for certain. I think we're just about up on. Did we lose Jaggers or did we just lose?
I can hear you.
Oh,
I think we
I'm spinning. Okay, you spin me right around, baby.
Laggerus.
Yeah, we have a bit of time. Not very long, but questions. You want to do viewer questions?
I was going to say we've already been at this for just coming up on 2 hours, right? Or
what if, Mithranor, do you want to answer any questions? I'll ask you very quickly. Or
sure.
Would you rather?
Not.
We'll do 10 minutes. 10 minutes of questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So get your questions in now at Gwentlemen in the chat. I'm just spinning, okay? Leave me alone. Chat's just laughing at me. Mithranor, if anyone wants to find you outside of the Gwentlemen Talkshow, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Mithranor_. Don't make fun of it. But yeah.
I'm just sad that, it's not I am Mithranor anymore. Like, yeah, but I don't even know who you are anymore.
I had to shake it up because there was too many meme accounts associated with that. But yeah. Also on Twitter. I think I'm just Mithranor on Twitter. No way, I'm F2K Mithranor. That's what it is. Yeah.
You can tell how regularly you use your Twitter.
Yeah.
So I have a viewer question from myself, because I'm a viewer now. How's your experience with F2K been? It's one of the few orgs that really has invested in Gwent, maybe more from a streamer perspective, but how's that experience been from you being a part of that organization?
I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, I don't have much experience with this type of thing, so I don't have anything to base off of, but it's a good organization to be a part of from my perspective, so yeah. Don't have much else.
Here's a viewer question. Favorite art from the new cards?
Well, that's a good question.
Him is
I gotta look at them all.
But I gotta scroll through.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, we didn't talk
I really
about
like Werewolf.
We didn't talk about Siri.
We mentioned her briefly.
We didn't talk about Siri, but yeah, there's not really a lot to say.
Yeah, we could speculate. I don't know.
She's a 1-strength gold, and we have no idea what she does, and we have no idea how many units failed on the row, and we have no idea what a jewel is. Like,
yeah,
it's maybe a bit risky to speculate.
I think I like Selkirk.
I'm kind of tied as far as going back to the question of like favorite art from the new cards. I'm kind of tied either from Lesser Demons, and Saskia Dragonfire.
Lesser Demons are so cute.
Exactly. That's how they get you.
I'm like definitely going with.
What are you going with?
Why? No, explain your decision, Jaggers.
Because he looks real cool. Well, like this little man cowering in fear under his car, and then I just think it's really it's nicely drawn. I think it looks cool. I think it'd make a really good premium as well.
Oh yeah, the premiums. But imagine premium him. Sorry, but just imagine the smoke billowing, the dude cowering there. That's so cool.
I mean, to be fair, he just saw Geralt put a baby in a fire, so
yeah,
he has reasons to cower.
But yeah, the cart. It looks like he's maybe stuck under the cart too on the werewolf one. I don't know.
I like how no one's picking Bone Talisman. You know that.
I mean,
I like the card, jiggle effect when you shake
called
it.
A fidget spinner in chat, and I just can't unsee it.
Oh, that makes it my favorite. I love fidget spinners.
So, I don't know.
I'm going with Selkirk. I think the color clash between the yellow, the gold border, and the sky is really good.
I think Selkirk has probably the best. Did you see the premium on the
I haven't. No,
it's awesome.
So I'm going with just a static card, so the premium will be much better, I imagine. So definitely my favorite.
I feel like the premium might be spoilers of some kind for his character.
Really? I don't even know who he is.
No, I
have no idea
who it
either, but
Really?
yeah, I caught a glimpse of the premium, and that was...
Oh wait, someone posted the premium.
Oh, here's a question which we can actually talk about very
Oh.
quickly. Someone says, any
Holy
tourney planned
shit.
for December?
That's so
And,
cool. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's just
it
someone's
is.
asking about tournaments planned for December. And whilst we don't have anything officially planned in terms of Gwentlemen, tomorrow, here at twitch.tv/Gwentlemen, starting at 8
We do have
p.m.
to, that's
the
December.
EST, do we? I don't
It's
think it was
December
officially
1st.
announced for December. Oh yeah, tomorrow is December. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's basically Christmas. I get to open I don't have an advent calendar. This is terrible. Anyway, tomorrow, December 1st, is the Gwentlemen Open Harvest stream, which will take place here at 8 p.m. CEST. Casting includes myself, Croquis, Squirrel, and Swim. Swim will be back. I know you guys missed him. He will be back. So don't worry. So that'll be casted, the semifinals and the finals. It's got a $500 prize pool. And I believe the winner goes on to face the Gwentlemen Open top 8. So anyone who's won a Gwentlemen Open will then go on to an 8-person bracket, and then they'll fight to be like Gwentlemen Open's ultimate champion. But like I said, the finals is tomorrow, 8 p.m. here. So if you fancy a warm-up for Gwent Slam, then that's where you should be.
There's also
How much
another
we got?
tournament event that's not exactly Gwentlemen, but it has some relation. There's going to be a coin clash event on December 9th, and me and Swim will be casting that alongside Squirrel, and as well Jaggeris will be hosting. So some Gwentlemen participation there. It's going to be kind of a show match between two, let's say, very interesting teams. So it's going to be fun for sure.
This channel, and expect it to be unlike any tournament you've seen in terms of the decks that people choose to bring, shall we say. I'm sure it's going to be fun for you, Panda, casting that, considering the kind of the games you normally cast.
I mean, we've done show matches in Gwent Slam, and that's been a lot of fun. So I'm ready for it. I'm going to practice a lot my meme mastery.
Yeah, but this is like the top memers though. Like you haven't
That
had
is
this
true.
caliber of meme casting before.
That is true. I'm going to have to
It's
prepare many days of playing Avalak the Sage.
I mean, with all these new cards, like the memery is just going to get worse. Like if we did this again,
Worse.
you know,
Worse.
with a little better. Different, we'll say. Saskia Dragonfire. You know, it's gonna be pretty fun. It's gonna be pretty fun. What was that other crazy new card? Oh yeah, Isengrim Outlaw. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good.
I
But yeah,
can't
Coin
wait to lose to Isengrim Outlaw. It's gonna be so much
Coin
fun.
Clash is 9th of December here, twitch.tv/Gwentlemen. I want to say it's at 9 p.m., but maybe it's at 8 p.m. It's on the 9th of December.
I'm sure someone in chat knows.
Yeah, and it's on the Gwentlemen website. So if you want to find out for sure, it's on the Gwentlemen website. Do we have any more questions, or are we wrapping up?
I'm not seeing any more.
I just want to say I want to officially change my favorite card art to Selkirk's Premium, because that's
Does
sick.
he stab someone? Like,
No, you did not
It's
see it.
more than that.
Oh
It's
my
more
God.
than that.
You have. To
I didn't
see
expect it at all.
Yeah, I didn't
Right,
either.
I
I
will-
was expecting him to stab someone, and then yeah.
okay, I found it. I'm watching.
Get ready.
Oh my God! What? He's like Ghost Rider. I was gonna say Knight Rider. That's not the same thing. Okay, that's pretty sick. That's like competition with Morvuds right there.
He was cursed, right? He had the curse tag, so it makes sense. When I first saw the curse
I
tag,
was
That
wondering
does
about
make
that
sense.
curse tag.
yeah, me too. Now we know why.
We got to improve our lore, you guys. We're not very good.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
We can add events in Twitch. Oh, okay, apparently we can put events in Twitch, so maybe we can add them to the roster. We'll do that in the future. But for now, I guess this is the time where we awkwardly wave at the screen. What do we got to do? Shoutouts first. Shoutouts first.
We do have to shout outs first.
Dale has to shout out like literally the entire Reddit community. Oh,
I will
sorry,
be
Gwen.
shouting out I will be shouting out literally the entire Gwent community. I'd like to start with shouting out the official Gwent Reddit over at gwent.reddit.com. From there, you can find a link to the official Gwent Discord. You can also find links to the Ask Gwent Discord. I do recommend checking them out if you are a newer player who's trying to get into Gwent, because you ask a question, you'll get an answer back. It's a very good community, very helpful community. Also, shout outs to the official Gwent forum over at CD Projekt Red. If you want to discuss with your other fellow players and in more of a that in the dev zone backyard, I guess would be the best way of describing that forum. That's a good place to chat as well. I think that's it as far as the communities are concerned.
Pretty good.
Jaggers, your shoutouts?
Oh, I always pick someone in chat to shout out. This is going to be fun. Shout out to... Is Bane the person who does the weekly... Someone does the Reddit, like the Reddit questionnaire, and I want to say it's Bane, but maybe it's someone called Blaine, and maybe I'm completely wrong. But if Bane happens to be the person who does the Reddit questionnaire, shout outs to him. And even if you're not, shout outs to you anyway. I shout out Bane. Bane #1 in the chat. #1 in the chat and #1 in our hearts. Panda.
I have to shout out Life Coach. He's going to be hosting the Gwent Slam #3 this weekend. I'll be attending the caster, and it's obviously a great event, I think, for the whole community, just to see more tournaments and more competitive Gwent. So big shout out to him, and that's about it. And Life Coach as well, that helps organize a lot of that stuff in the kind of background that many people don't know about. So just a big shout out to both of them.
Mithranor?
I guess since I am apparently champion of the chat, I have to shout out to all of chat. But yeah, I noticed a few people that I recognize, so I'm gonna shout them out specifically to my chat. But no, I don't have anything else.
Hey, in which case it's time.
This is
awkwardly wave, and then eventually the stream will end. Keep waving, it'll be fine. Just keep waving.
We will see you all again next week on the Gwentlemen Talkshow. We'll also see you tomorrow for the TGO Harvest. Take care, everybody.
Oh, who did we host? Oh, Red Mage Man.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
We good.
We're good.
We good.
I don't know.